Good morning from wherever you are in the world, and welcome to ROK Cup Vegas. My name is DJ Clark. Delighted to be joined this weekend by Rob Howden and Jackson Lambros, who's joining us here in the booth. He'll be popping around all around the scenes. And guys, this is what they wait for. This is the big show for ROK Cup. This is the big dance here at the Rio. It's a great atmosphere. It's a great track, and we have got some great competition lined up for the weekend.
Yeah, the bottom line is we have fantastic drivers from all over the country, all over the world, actually. An international field here for ROK Vegas this year. And it's always interesting to me that while California is the birthplace of karting, really when we talk about the sport nowadays here, it's all about Vegas at the end of the year, right? Everybody wants to come to Vegas for the big events, and being here at the Rio is the place to be. A fantastic racetrack laid out. We'll look at that later on. But yeah, I'm looking forward to a really good weekend.
And when we look at not only the breadth of different types of karts that we've got here this weekend, the talent that we've got from the kids that are coming up trying to make their break on through to the Masters category, Jackson, it's really remarkable to see the massive field of talent that we have in store.
Absolutely. You did the tally this morning. Almost 270 drivers across 27 different nations. And again, we talk about the context of where they are at this point in the careers. You got the mini and micro Swifts starting to write those first chapters of their national karting career. We've got some renowned motorsport names from leagues across the world, a lot of guys that you're used to in the open wheel chapter, Rob. We've been doing this for 8 years now on the ROK side of things. And again, a lot of maybes in a lot of these classes. One thing is absolutely certain, though, gentlemen. We're ready to rock again here in Vegas.
I see what you did there in terms of rocking and rolling. This is a town that loves to put on a little bit of a spectacle, and we're certainly going to have a spectacle here in store. You heard us preview it a little bit. Let's go ahead and dive on into that track preview. We want to walk you through this track because it is a very, very high commitment, high speed circuit. We're lucky enough to be able to have some onboards provided by, first and foremost, Blake Nash. Rob, go ahead and walk us through a little bit of what this is going to look like. We're going to start here on the back straightaway, but as I said, high speed, high commitment.
Yeah, this is through that final couple of corners here, leading you through that 10, 11, 12, and then the spot turn 13 is going to right here lead us onto the straightaway. I talked to Jake Drew when I got here today, and he told me this racetrack, very high average corner speed. You're going to see a lot of deep sends to the inside. This is the opening corner complex through a 2-3 combination. We're going to see a lot of overtakes in different corners, DJ.
Yeah, we really are. And this is one that I think you're going to see maybe a sneaky move down into 6 and 7. Quick glance behind there. We love these cameras provided by Odenthal Racing Products. Very, very happy. They're the ones bringing you the pictures here today. And now, Rob, as we come down here through the flick of turn 9, this is going to be a high commitment braking zone into turn 10.
Yeah, that's going to be the biggest braking zone likely on the racetrack now, knowing the high speed you'll get coming out of turn number 9. Then this final complex, and we've been talking about the fact we think there's going to be a lot of over-unders. Drivers are going to make little mistakes. You're going to have to be aggressive if you want to overtake at this racetrack.
You really are, and I think you're going to have to keep that minimum speed up, as you mentioned earlier. That's going to be such a big, big key. Momentum. We always talk about it in karting, but I think, Jackson, here today at this track, that momentum is even more important.
And I think that's actually led to a lot of frustration for a lot of drivers. We look at these barrier tracks, right? Already overtaking is at a premium. We compare it to the street circuits we see on the big cars, but it is pinpoint accuracy, big-time commitment to get those moves done. And talking to Ben Cooper from Rollison Performance Group this morning, one of the well-known Masters drivers, was kind of sharing that frustration with me and seeing the draw-ups that we had coming into this weekend. A couple of tweaks had to be made coming into this weekend. Obviously, just some reworks that we need to do to be happy with the promoters and with the drivers themselves. But that's been a little bit of a curveball for a couple guys, DJ. It feels like a couple of overtaking opportunities are a little bit more difficult than they might have initially expected. That's going to be big-time commitment required for a lot of these guys to get some of these moves done.
Well, I'll say this. I mean, if it's harder to overtake, that's probably better for us. We're going to have a little bit more fun when we see these moves start to fly. And, Rob, you mentioned it on that track preview. Looking down into the long sweeping corners of turns 1 and 2 and into turn 8, there's a lot of different lines you can take through there.
Well, here's the thing, too. In a track like this with high speeds, the minute you defend to the inside, then you start bringing everybody back into the battle because, yeah, there are some corners that open up wider on the exit, but if you're diving to the inside defending, you start to cover off the inside, you're going to lose some of that exit speed. And I think, for me, 2 days of on-track action already. So they figured out the racetrack. They figured out the pavement. They got the setup dialed in. But this is the first time we go to wheel. So nobody really knows where you kind of need to be. You tried some passes during practice, right? You got a feel for it. There's two things that are important here right now. Patience, first and foremost, and respect. You got to be patient, but you got to respect the people around you. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself in a wall. Because as we know, street circuit, temp circuits, there's no runoff. You don't drop a wheel at ROK Vegas. You're in the barrier.
Yeah, you drop a wheel at ROK Vegas, you're going to have to be taking the other wheels out of the barriers as a way to get it to go. Now, though, I want to bring back to what Jackson was mentioning a little bit earlier, Rob. A lot of names here that you know from your work in the open wheel series that are working their way up, as well as a couple of drivers that are very, very well established as well.
One of the cool things, of course, is a race like this, a lot of drivers keep coming back, right? We've watched them come through the karting ranks. We just talked about some of the fast drivers here. We finished up our warm-up for the ROK SV Pro category, which is our headline category, and the two drivers are Alessandro Di Tullio and Frankie Mossman, P1 and P2. Both those drivers ran in the USF Pro 2000 category last year. We're going to see Frankie back in that class. Alessandro Di Tullio very likely with HMD Motorsports in Indy next in 2026. You'll be working with him next year.
I will. Had a chance to talk to him this morning and got to introduce myself a little bit more, kind of recognized me, and we had that, oh, hey, how you doing kind of moment. So that was always good. Let's also go through the schedule for this weekend. We're going to line up today. It's going to be heat races 1 and 2. Heat race 1 will be in the morning. Then we'll have heat race 2 tomorrow. Nice little warm-up. Again, getting a little bit more of that track time, adjusting to what things are going to be. And then heat 3 and heat 4 will be tomorrow, 3 in the morning, 4 in the afternoon. And crucially there, Jackson, we were just talking about this, LCQs for those VLR Junior and Senior categories.
Absolutely, and unfortunately, the horrors of Halloween, I think, are going to carry over to a lot of these guys who are going to hope and make the show. But we will have to see. Again, we talked about that potentially being a strategy with tires. We're expecting 2 sets. We need a confirmation on that, but believe we got 2 sets of Levantos for this field. Do you go over onto that fresh set, give yourself that extra bit of insurance on pace for getting into the show, or do you save it? We could see a transition maybe as early as this morning, trying to lock yourself into the bubble. Going to be hard to tell, though, Rob.
I always think it's a storyline throughout the weekend, right? Everybody kind of... If you have trouble in the first heat race, you're on the back foot, right? You're starting to think about that alternate strategy that you can maybe play. But for a race like this, stay out of trouble, get those results that you need. And then, when you get into that final heat race, maybe you throw new tires on to make sure you're going to get into the main. You're not going to have to run the LCQ. The drivers aren't going to like the LCQs. We're going to love them.
So let me throw another question in here, because we're talking about how this track is expecting to develop throughout this race. And you are no stranger, my friend, to tracks of this format, very unique barrier tracks. But talking to Ryan Norberg this morning, it still feels like there's a lot to unlock on pace. I know you have the start of this week to really get used to the track, but in Vegas, do you ever stop learning throughout the weekend?
No, I don't think so at all. I actually ran the Super Nationals on this particular parking lot back in 2022. The key thing we'll throw in here first and foremost, when I was here in the morning, it was about 50-something degrees when we ran. It's going to be 80 degrees. It's 70 degrees right now. So for a race like we have now here at the end of October, I think we would normally expect a little cooler temperatures normally over the last number of years that we've raced here at the Rio. No, it's going to be 80 degrees, maybe low 80s throughout the weekend. That's going to pump up the grip levels, which we may have not already have. But this track will change throughout the entire weekend. Your fastest laps for many of these drivers will be midway through the main on Sunday.
Yeah, and that's that grip level that we so often talk about, rubber being put into the actual tarmac as these Levanto tires shed, and that's a good thing. Let's be very clear. That's what they're designed to do. But they get into the tarmac, they build into that asphalt, and then rubber on rubber contact is what makes things really, really good and sticky as they get themselves going. But let's also talk a little bit about what we have in terms of those micro breakdowns, in terms of what's going to be coming at you here in just a few minutes' time. We're going to start off with ROK GP Junior. That'll be our first heat race of the day. Then it'll be ROK Mini, ROK Shifter Pro. Then we move on into some of the big shows. We have the ROK VLR Masters and Super Masters. That'll be coming at you at about 11:15. And then we move into the VLR Junior groups and the Senior groups, and we break those down. We break them into separate ones because there are so many drivers. As we said earlier, VLR Junior, VLR Senior, those are where we have those LCQs, and we are talking about getting into those LCQs, Jackson, if you are from 31st on down.
I'll tell you what, though, one group that we're actually going to see all 50 of on track, Rob. That's going to be our SV Pros. First
Let's do
time
it.
we've seen
Yeah.
this engine package in America. Been racing in Europe for a little bit now, but we talk about this engine raffle being a grand equalizer. Talking to some of the drivers this morning, parity very, very small between these drivers, and we've seen that reflected actually in qualifying yesterday. Less than a tenth, well less than a thousandth in some cases, separating some of these guys out on track.
Well, when you get engine parity based on what ROK's to be able to deliver here, plus you got drivers of the caliber that we have, you're going to have that deal where it's going to be 0.2 of a second separating potentially the top 10. But the key to this program right now is everybody, the excitement kind of built. When it was first announced, oh, we're going to have only X amount of drivers. Well, that just flooded in quickly. There's 50 guys. The wait list was long. Like, we all want to be part of this program, and that's why this, essentially the eyes of karting here in North America are going to be on ROK Vegas this Sunday.
And I believe that entry list, Mike Burrell is going to choke me here, but I believe the original entry list was around 38, close to 40, but
Something
you
like
had
that.
a lot of guys really, really eager to get in and take this opportunity. You look at Asad Nikatambayev, who we talked to briefly this morning, the Uzbek kid from the Pacific Northwest, who has not driven a lot at the national level, but saw that as an opportunity, saw these SV engines, the raffle, as kind of a grand equalizer, right? And able to kind of flex that muscle and kind of say, this is going to be the round table of karting. I'm able to really, really show myself in one of his first senior level starts. So a lot of guys making that promotion up to SV Pro. We'll get into that big time as a lot of guys are making their way up into the senior division this week. But a wide variety of drivers here this weekend, gentlemen.
And that's it. All the storylines, right? You mentioned how many drivers are here. Everybody comes in with their own storyline. Maybe they are a street circuit or you know, a Las Vegas pro. They've been here for many, many years. Some may be making their first starts ever on a track like this. So everybody has a different storyline coming into the weekend.
And what better way to impress than if this is your first weekend to come in here and wipe the floor a little bit with some of these established drivers that are able to get on the course. This is the kind of weekend that you wait for. Is there we take a live look down at the staging grid. This again is ROK GP Junior, going to be headed out onto the track for the first time, and want to thank again Axis Kart Sport for providing your pre-race show here. Jackson, what are we going to be looking at here when we talk about these GP Junior machines?
So again, starting to see a little bit of a turn in the tides here for the 125s. SV starting to work into the mix, but for a lot of guys, we're still running this older, very trusted 125, the trustworthy ROK GP, and one of our bigger junior fields. Again, this is easily one of our more competitive fields out here, and a very, very good mix of drivers, not just Vegas veterans, if you will, young Vegas veterans who have been proven, both coming up from the cadets and getting well seasoned here in this category. Plenty of international prestige coming from South America.
And your eyes do not deceive you, by the way. That was a clown on the grid. We would like to wish everyone a very happy Halloween, as it is Halloween here. Sad to say we did not dress up, as we've got a job to do, unfortunately.
Look, man, I threw it out there to
You
Rob
did.
in the group chat.
And it was a great idea.
Right?
I just don't. Anchorman would have been a fantastic
It
idea.
would've. You laughed. I was like, that's not a no. And you were like, it is.
I love it.
But,
I love it. So, again, guys, this is it. They've been waiting all week, a couple of days on the racetrack. Lots of opportunity through, of course, Wednesday and Thursday to get a feel for the track. You're chasing it, right? You know it's always changing. If you got too much grip on the first day, you need to obviously back that out. But this is the first time now we'll see where the racing will come. And I tell you this, everybody's eyes are going to be on this racetrack when they kind of see how the racing starts to play out. They need to know what it's going to look like.
Yeah, rest assured that all of the drivers from all of the series are going to be keeping an eye on this, because as you said, Rob, this is the first time we're really seeing these karts turned in anger, that wheel-to-wheel battle, and there, the very typical weaving back and forth, getting those tires up to the operating window. That's what you want to make sure you are in, and crucially, the tire pressure.
Crucially is it. This is one of the most important things. Of course, when I ran here back in 2022, getting that heat in the tires on the opening lap is so crucial here right now. Obviously, a little warmer, not too cold, but you've really got to handle this warm-up lap, getting out onto the racetrack. Take care of the tires, take care of yourself. Don't get in the wall or anything. That can happen. But the bottom line is get some heat built in these tires, drive into the corner hard. You got to turn that wheel. Look at these guys really getting aggressive, trying to get some heat built into these tires.
So it is Leonardo Saravale leading us to pole, who has swept the juniors. Will lead them to green in both VLR and GP. But you look just behind Travis Pettit, who has wowed us in the national scene, both on 2 and 4 cycle racing, was phenomenal at CKNA Grands. Sarah Bradley, the winner last year of our Radford Racing School F4 award. A very, very top-heavy field here. And for the first time, we are ready, DJ, to go wheel-to-wheel racing here in the Rio.
Yes, we are. There is no better sound in the world than a fleet of karts getting their way out onto the track. It'll be 8 minutes plus 2 laps as they line their way onto the starting grid. And there we go. Green flag in the air. And it is a great getaway from Sevraye as Pettit trying to get a little bit of run around the outside, side by side, down through turns 1 and 2. That's that big, heavy overtaking opportunity that we talked about as they lead their way down out of turn 5 right now. And it looks like Pettit's been able to hold on to P2. Edward Kennedy holding on to P3 still.
Yeah, you're going to always have the opportunity to make an overtake on that first lap, but don't make the mistake. That's what you see a lot of the times in some of these races, especially early on here. This is only the opening heat race. As I said earlier, you have a DNF here, you change your entire weekend. All of a sudden, you have to get super aggressive throughout the remainder of the weekend. Great start here with Sarah Valley settling in early. 3-driver breakaway. We're going to complete lap number 1. Good start. In fact, cleaner than I thought it may have been. They gave each other room. The tight nature of the corners after turn number 1. Everybody leaving just enough room. DJ, good start to this wheel-to-wheel day.
Yeah, and I think crucially here, a little bit of a breakaway there for Leonardo Kennedy and Pettit up at the front of the field right now. It's starting to get closed in by Sarah Bradley. Good to be able to hold on to that P4 position for her. Trying to close in on that battle for P2 right now with Kennedy and Pettit right now as they come down through 9.
Opening couple of laps, all about letting the field stretch out. Yeah, you want to make overtakes, but if the first couple of laps you get into that lead group, potentially can have that breakaway, that's exactly what you want. 3-driver breakaway would be very exciting for these drivers. Leonardo Saravalli leading the way. Edward Kennedy runs P2. Travis Pettit there in 3rd. He'll make a move to the inside, move Pettit up into 2nd. Kennedy goes to 3rd. Sarah Bradley and Jose Helfin. Now your top 5. Samet, Salameo, Wagner, Murphy, and Abernethy round out the top 10.
I want to give credit there to Sarah Bradley. She was really able to hold on to that gap as much as possible. Pettit trying to be able to close in. A little bit of a halfway look down to the inside of turn 8. That's one of those sneaky opportunities that we talked about. Keep an eye here on Pettit. This is a good run, tucking up directly behind Saravalli, and it's not going to play out. I think patience, the better part of valor.
That's it. That is exactly it. Yeah, he could have thrown it to the inside right now, but early. As I had said, this is only the opening heat race. We can all take a big breath here. You've got through the opening couple of corners. Now you settle in. Did you get a couple of spots? That's a win. Really, you think about the 3 heat races being a body of work. You're trying to get yourself forward. The qualifying run you put in is where you started yourself. It was a good qualifying session. Maybe you expect to try to go to the front early. If you're further back, it's only about getting a couple of spots in every race. You want to make sure you're moving forward. Let the other drivers make mistakes. You got to be as clean as you possibly can.
Well, and you got to try to get some speed through the back of the field, and Braden Wagner doing that exactly from P8 right now with the fastest lap of the race. Here they come again down through that 10, 11, and 12 complex. So much patience being showed here, Jackson.
I think there may be a little bit of frustration right now for Braden Wagner, a little bit further back. Clearly has the pace, but just has not found the space. There's clearly something going on there in that freight train a little bit further back. Rob from 7th on back to 10th. You look at now Benham Abernathy finding a little bit of heat in that 297. So clearly this mid-pack getting that advantage of the draft, maybe using the bumper just a little bit in the back straightaway, but nobody able to really find a way through. But we just saw it for the first time there.
Yeah, that was Sarah Bradley going to the inside over in turn number 8. We talked about this before we came on the broadcast. We were kind of going over the racetrack and ourselves here in the commentary box. Where do we think some of the passes are going to be done? DJ, you mentioned turn 8. You're able to pinch, get through that little apex there, the complex 7 and 8, down into turn number 9. Gorgeous pass for Sarah Bradley, super clean, but you got to give it up for Edward Kennedy as well. Patient and respect. Yeah, you've got the corner. I'll tuck back in. I'm not going to force it. Still a long way to go.
Yeah, still figuring out this track a little bit. And what that move from Bradley did is we've got a little bit of 2, almost 3 wide farther back in the field. That was the 236 and Samet Salamalo as well. Yeah. Trying to pick up some positions again down in turn 8.
So there's a good example of what can happen sometimes on these street circuits when you're on a temp track like this with walls all around. If you get hung out to dry on the outside, you're not going to lose just one spot. Sometimes it's 2, sometimes it's 4. You can lose a lot of laps if you get hung out to dry, and then when this happens, there's your separation. All of a sudden, we had the big train, boom, we're all the way back. And now essentially a 2-driver breakaway up front, DJ, with Sarah Bradley all by herself there in third.
Yeah, Bradley looks like she's closing in a little bit, so let's keep an eye on her. But let's also focus back through this field as this battle is getting absolutely ferocious. There's another look back up at the front of the field. And oh, there it is, coming down through that Samet and Salamau.
Yeah, that's a great move to the inside for Marcos Samet as he'll make that pass to the inside. Good stuff here as we're really getting an opportunity, like we had said, to get a really look where's those first passes coming from. That was the end of the straightaway there. That's a great pass there as well. Theomau getting back by again. This is good stuff. They're going back and forth. I like to see this early. And again, you think about the pushback bumper penalty, so you got to be kind to that front bumper, right? You don't want that penalty. But right now, these guys are racing extremely well.
They're racing well, and to your point, Rob, racing respectfully. We're seeing a lot of that back off, a lot of that give and take through the corners. A little bit surprising given that. Oh, and there we go. That was Pettit, and now that was Leonardo sending it back on, and welcome to the battle, Sarah Kennedy. It's a 3-way scrap for the lead.
Yeah, Bradley right back in. And as soon as they started battling, Bradley was going to get able to get back on top. A nice dive bomb move there, and a knife shot to the apex for Leonardo Saravalli. These drivers like to lead, and that's the driver you want on your machinery. Yeah, it's good to run in second, long run, but they also love that open racetrack in front of them. And DJ, I just want to do one thing here right now. Beautiful morning here in Las Vegas. We haven't done this yet, but let's say hello to everybody who's tuned into the YouTube channel.
Most certainly.
With ROK Cup USA. Thanks for being with us here on a Friday. We're going to give you some great action all weekend long here from the Rio. The Strip in behind is the most beautiful backdrop in North American karting. But thanks for tuning in, folks. We hope you enjoy the weekend with us.
We do, and we're very, very pleased that you are here. Look behind. I love that as they come through turn 9. Pettit not looking like he wants to attack here at this point. Saravalli holding off on good lead. I think it's interesting that both of them kind of glance behind at the same time. That looks like that's going to be that check back point as now they cross over the stripe once more. 1:40 seconds left on the clock, and a very defensive line for Saravalli going into turn 1. I think he knows that that's an overtaking opportunity, Jackson.
So you look a little bit further back, though, Sarah Bradley continuing to try and chip away at that leader pack. That's the Florida-based driver who, again, as we mentioned, got that Radford Formula 4 test, but, guys, is actually taken akin to a very different kind of bigger car, as she's done a lot of legends, a lot of dirt ovals, and has gotten very comfortable. Rob, I know that's a very different kind of driving style, but when you're on the absolute limit on a surface that doesn't necessarily have a lot of grip, that can be pretty useful.
I'm a huge proponent of driving everything you possibly can. I don't care what it is. You're driving something different. The mindset changes. You're able to get a feel for, like you said, whatever the surface may be. It's another reason why I love seeing people race in the rain anytime they possibly can. A test day in the rain, in my mind, is a gift because you don't get to plan a rain test, right? It just happens. So if you're running on dirt, you're running on ovals, I don't care what it is. It's about keeping up momentum. I love that Sarah's running a bunch of different stuff, and I love the way they're pulling out here right now. Here's a move to the inside. Pettit thought about it, tucked back in. Guys, what we're going to get a look at here, not only is our first wheel-to-wheel action, but we're also going to get the chance to see our first couple final lap. Let's see how drivers start to defend. Where's the defense coming? And this will be interesting out of Leonardo Saravalli. DJ, you mentioned he covered off a couple of corners already, kind of giving us a bit of a teaser how defense may play out.
Yeah, trying to be able to just see where you can cover that off. Now coming down through into 6 and 7. This is one of the slower portions of the track that flicks its way back into turn 8. And again, it just looks like Pettit is biding his time here. I really like what I'm seeing from Travis, just holding back as much as possible. There's that glance behind from Pettit, trying to see if there's anything to be had. We saw a move down into this 10-11 complex a little bit earlier in the day, or earlier in the race rather, but didn't play out. Bad run there for Pettit. This could set up something for Bradley.
Let's see if she goes on the attack or settles in there. Remember, you got to think about, again, getting that result. You don't want to throw one away. One of the biggest movers on the racetrack, +5, is Eric Doan. Started 16th. He moves his way up into the 11th position. For a time, had the fastest lap of the race as well. But again, we've hit the time limit, so now those 2 laps remaining. Saravalli still leads in the Racing Edge Motorsports machine. It's Rawlson Performance Group's Travis Pettit right behind him. And then Sarah Bradley as well, right there, P3 for Ryan Perry Motorsports. 3 different teams represented here in the top 3. Let's see what Saravalli does. How about give yourself a little bit of room? Any driver wants that. Give me that cushion on that last couple laps.
And there it is, white flag in the air. 1 lap to go for these drivers, and it looks like that battle is going to be for P2 between Pettit and Bradley. Pettit trying to hold off in that sort of pink and blue machine. Holding the line well. It doesn't look like there's a whole lot of closeness, I would say, in between himself and the leader of Serravalle. And doesn't look like he's going to get a run here, but he's been strong down through this back half of the circuit.
DJ, the opening heat race is not where you're going to see a ton of aggression, right? You want to get that first one in the books. You want to get a P3. You want to get a win. You know, Sarah Bradley up a spot. She didn't go backwards. She moves from fourth to third. That opening heat race, bank it. You know, it's like a banker lap in qualifying, right? Yep. Let's get that first good result in here to start off the Friday.
And there goes the checkered flag. Leonardo Serravalle able to take victory from pole position. A great run for him. Pettit, Bradley, Kennedy, Salamau, your top five. Nice little battle was going on between the 251 and the 275 of Salamau and Marco Sama. We didn't get to check all that much, but still a good battle there, Jackson.
No, absolutely. You look outside of the top five, you got a lot of big movers as well. Tristan Murphy setting the purple lap on the way to his top 10 result there. Moved up a couple positions as well. Eli Steinberg, unfortunately, dropping back. One of the Burley Product Super Cup regulars up in the Pacific Northwest, struggling to find pace so far in that 225. So a lot of reshuffles there in the mid-pack. I know it was relatively quiet, but very close at the front. But we missed a melee there further back, gentlemen.
Yeah, look, I'm just looking at the big movers here. We got +8 for Salameo. We got +8 as well for, I believe, Abernethy. A couple of +5s with Eric Doan and Luca Popescu. So a couple drivers, although those drivers that finished outside the top 10 started further down from qualifying. +5 is a good result in a heat race. You're happy to bring that back. You learned a lot. You'll debrief. You'll come back with a different race car when we go for heat number 2.
Yeah, it's all about that learning and setting yourself up for that final heat race of the weekend to obviously go into the final. That's really what you want to do. Well, Rob, you mentioned it a little earlier, but I want to come back to it. Not a lot of aggression, not a lot of massive overtaking, but we did see a couple of those areas that we thought may be the hot spots start to play out a little bit.
Yeah, and another thing as well, DJ, is when you're in that group who you're with, you know that Serravalle, Pettit, and Bradley are probably going to be racing against each other all weekend long, right? So maybe you haven't raced a driver. Serravalle coming up from Canada. Maybe he and Travis haven't had a chance to go wheel to wheel a lot. A great opportunity throughout the entire field to see who you're going to kind of be battling with. Where are you paired up? Good opportunity to really kind of get a feel for who your competition is going to be.
Yeah, and that's such a crucial thing that we often don't talk about as they get their way around the track is trying to figure out who you're battling with and how they drive.
That's huge. That's very, very crucial. Again, there you have it, folks. Our first one is in the books. A lot of wheel-to-wheel racing for you here today. Temperature's going to continue to rise, about 70 degrees here. Beautiful blue skies in Las Vegas. Always great to be at the Rio here, walk out from the hotel. Anybody who's come to these events over the last, 23 years? I think 2002 was the first year that we actually came out essentially from the desert to run the first time here at the Rio back in 2002 and 2003. If I'm not mistaken, Jackson, that was the year you were born, 2002? I'm going to be aged pretty aggressively here through this entire weekend.
Or you're making me look like baby, or all of the above.
That's all good. You're doing a hell of a job. So, yeah, indeed, it'll be an interesting weekend for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, we talk about what makes this race special, and obviously the international appeal, the spectacle of Vegas. But the way I've kind of loved calling it is a cruise ship race. And for those of the guys who joined us at Speed Sports, you had a good chunk of the drivers as well in that final round of the Florida Winter Tour, pretty much everybody sharing a hotel. And that's a very kind of special thing. You've got everybody, sure, you got some people in some venues, everybody kind of putting the RV at the racetrack or whatnot. But it's a very different kind of vibe when you are literally seeing everybody day in, day out for almost an entire week here at the Rio. It's a feeling unlike anything else.
I've never heard it called a cruise ship race. That makes a lot of sense because you're really with each other the entire time. You're walking through the hotel. You go to the restaurants at the hotel, and inevitably the place is going to be packed full of go-kart racers, which is true. It's very much a family here trackside. But it's what's made this event so huge. The temporary circuit means everybody rolls in here on a level playing field. The SV Pro engines even doubled that. Yep. So that's what makes running here in Las Vegas so huge. You're right in the middle of Sin City here. So again, it's been massive from the very beginning back in 2002, and to have the ROK Vegas event here 7 of the last 8 years here at the Rio. Of course, that one year they ran at Planet Hollywood. But man, this is great stuff. I'm thrilled to be here, and I'll tell you one thing: I'm happy that first race went off without a hitch. That's the kind of trend we want to set.
So we talked earlier about kind of the main overtaking opportunities. You can throw that out the window here because first the Swift chassis out on track here. This is ROK Mini in our first heat. For that, it will be Christian Damianidis. And boys, in a sea of major tent, major manufacturers running out on track, we have got an unmarked car and a mom and pop shop out on pole. This Canadian has blown us away in what is one of the tightest fields we'll see this weekend, and he has stunned us on pole alongside Nico Salazar on that front row.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I love about this category, guys, and you guys have called lots of races now as well. Sometimes some of the best racing we have is in the cadet classes, right? This is what we love so much about the mini and micro categories. We're now underway. Green, green, green. First heat race into turn number 1.
Damianidis is going to hold off in the lead there. You saw a big move. I think that was Maxwell Macha trying to be able to make the move to try to get over onto the side, but it didn't necessarily work. That's going to drop Maxwell down a couple of positions. Excuse me, that was Salazar, I think, that dropped down a couple of positions. That outside lane, Rob, just not looking like it was working. But a move there from Macha down to the inside, and now Salazar is going to be able to send the move.
Oh, they tighten up at the apex there of turn number 8. Crucial part of this racetrack. 8 really starts the straightaway, but you got to get through that little turn 9 chicane as well. So it's not that, a long, super long, hard-braking straightaway you would normally have here at Las Vegas. Just that little bit of a wrinkle coming on is going to change things when you get down into turn number 10.
All right, back onto the main straightaway for the first time. We changed things around, and indeed it is Maxwell Macha up in front of Nico Salazar and Damianidis into third. A good start for him, but that outside lane not moving necessarily. Big gaggle farther back in the pack as the front line is definitely strung out a little bit.
It happens early with these cadet drivers. The minute someone tries to throw one down the inside, kind of stacks them up oftentimes, and drivers are able to pull away. We've been talking about Maxwell Macha here in this category for the last couple of years. A very talented young driver running with Paralin USA. Gets out to a nice little early lead. Call it maybe 4, potentially 5 kartlings as they work their way down the back straightaway. There's draft is going to play a big role, and if nobody's there with Salazar right now, this could be an opportunity for Macha to potentially pull away and just take this one for himself early on, though.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what you want to do if you can be able to hold on to it. Farther back, it looks like Joshua Wheeler and Koa Saito in a little bit of a fight there for that final podium position in P3. Unfortunately, the privateer that we mentioned earlier shuffled back down into P5. That's Christian Damianidis trying to be able to fight his way forward here and just look for a little bit of anything as Saito and Wheeler went side by side.
Yeah, looks like he's trying to swing back. There's a look there as that Paralin of Luis Martinez tries to get on the move as well. And Damianidis holding up a lot of them. These are the freight trains we're used to in these cadet classes, boys. And again, it's almost that 4-cycle style of racing, being bumper to bumper to bumper. And that gives you so many great opportunities for constant wheel-to-wheel racing, constant overtaking. Not the point right now for Maxwell Macha, who's already got a comfortable lead right now over Salazar and Sato.
Yeah, Koa Saito getting a good jump there in the third spot. He was able to make a move to the inside, so he's putting down some good laps here as well. A little contact further back. One driver going off a little bit to the outside of the racetrack. He slows, but otherwise able to continue on. You see a little bit of wheel-to-wheel action here again. DJ, good stuff here early on, though.
Yeah, very good stuff, and still good stuff through the battles of the rest of the pack. That's the 119 of Spence. Looks like that's a battle with Santiago Orioli, as Orioli is able to get by them. Mason Brody also up into that as well. There we've got a nice little battle going on. This is that run in the mid-pack here as they try to focus in. That's the 117 of 177, of Luis Martinez, trying to sort themselves out. A little bit farther back in the field, and Saito up with the fastest lap of the race. That kart is on a move.
Yeah, Koa putting a good lap down, and not surprisingly, throwing that purple lap down 45.757. Not that much quicker, though, than Maxwell Macha up top, 45.778. And one of my spotters, David Cole, saying potentially our pole sitter guys is out of this race.
Oh, what a heartbreak there. I thought that may have been him, but I didn't want to say anything until we saw it for sure. But that is not good news for Christian Damianidis.
Yeah, what was heartbreak talking was heartbreak for the family that was so excited. And again, it's very rare do we see, a mom and pop running with their kid out of an easy up when we've got, IndyCar-sized haulers coming in for these weekends. So hopefully not the end of this weekend for them. We'll be able to still find some pace for him, but that young Canadian was really, really impressing us on single lap pace. But we talk about the environment of these karts, of the way they race. There is almost always an opportunity if you're within the same part of the racetrack to really get a move done.
Yeah, well, I think one of the things is when these drivers start settling in and stop looking back. We talked about the fact in that last race, a couple of guys had to look back just to see what's going on. Normally, you'll tell these young drivers, stay focused forward. Stop spinning your head. You don't want that thing on an easel going back and forth. You got to stay focused, stay forward, keep hitting your marks. When you start worrying too much about what's happening behind you, then you start making mistakes. Just hit those marks. We'll tell you from the sidelines what needs to happen.
Joshua Wheeler with a big move, trying to hold off Santiago Orioli, and Orioli's able to get that move done in the 103. Brave, aggressive stuff down into turn one, Rob, but he made it work.
Yeah, we talked about that. That's where it's going to happen. Nice move there on that Sodi cart for Orioli. Put it down to the inside. The respect given on the outside as well from Joshua Wheeler. Yeah, I'll just put my cart right back behind you again. Let's go to work. And listen, if you're not pulling up on the guy in front of you, if they're not closing up on Sato, then listen, you go by me. I'll come and work with you, right? You need the fastest guy at the front of that train if you want to close up. Sato by himself there in the GFC running P3.
Yeah, but credit here to the 137 of Wheeler. Doesn't look like he's going, Wheeler doesn't look like he's going anywhere. He's going to keep tucked up right behind there with Orioli. And this is, again, is that momentum. You can't let it get thrown off. This is such a rhythm track.
A lot of flow to it. As I said, I talked to Jake Drew as soon as I walked in here, and he said, Rob, very, very flowy racetrack, high speeds in the corners. There's not going to be that traditional kind of hard braking where you're going to make the move to the inside. You're really going to have to set passes up a couple of corners early, right? Because you need to have that momentum. You need to be able to place yourself to the inside to make a pass. Turn one, as we've seen a lot of passes there already. I love seeing that. A number in turn number 8. Throughout this day, we're going to see how the rubber goes down. We're going to see how those passing opportunities start to evolve.
And credit here to Santiago Orioli, putting pressure onto the back of Koa Saito here, as we've got a little bit of a gaggle starting to form farther back. That's Lawrence Perriman starting to make a move as well on Joshua Wheeler. Wheeler may have spoke too soon about that momentum.
And DJ, look beside Perriman's name right there, 45.459, the blue box, purple box rather. He has gone with the fastest lap of the race. So he is moving in a big way right now, trying to see if he can't close up on Joshua Wheeler.
Yeah, he wants to try to get his way forward. And again, not necessarily about finishing at the top of these heat races, but just moving forward. That's the momentum you want to have. There's that look behind there from Orioli. He knows he's got a train behind him.
That's the primary goal. Advance in all of your heat races. Move your way forward. What you do in qualifying sets the stage. It starts the story, right? This is where we're going to go from. White flag flying, one more to go. Macha's lead coming across the line, 1.2 seconds from the very get. Maxwell Macha going to the lead, and he has settled in nicely, pulled away here from Nico Salazar.
He's got to feel good about that. Meanwhile, this battle back for the final podium positions here, as Orioli has been able to get by Saito, and he's going to start to pull away a little bit. Saito, though, under risk here from Joshua Wheeler and Perriman and Hidalgo in that fight as well. Big move to the inside there, and that's Perriman up into 5.
Gorgeous move to the inside there, Perriman. We talk about that pass that we're seeing in that part of the racetrack. Perriman able to clean through there. And now they're starting to get defensive coming down the back straightaway as well. An issue there for the 117 falling down the order.
Oh, that's heartbreak there for Sofia Calderon as they come across the line. Maxwell Macha able to take a commanding victory, throwing down the gauntlet here early. Salazar and Orioli, the rest of your podium positions. But I've got to give credit here to Koa Saito. That was a great drive from the 160.
Yeah, listen, +3 on the day as well. Orioli +5 on that race. Number of drivers moving forward there. But indeed, what I liked a lot was Perriman too. He started, I think, in the 4th or 5th spot. But man, to put those lap times down, great job for Lawrence.
No, absolutely. And I think the main thing for him, boys, was he was able to hold his own. It not only is that entertaining for us to watch, it's very easy for us to point out here from the booth with that basketball helmet. Diehard Lakers fan loves Magic Johnson.
That design.
I think it was inspired by the Lando Norris wore at Miami a couple years back, but has embraced it. Never has raced without it since. But the BJR driver showing us how to get it done.
Yeah, Macha, Salazar, Orioli, Saito, Perriman, your top 5. Those drivers getting good work done here in heat race number 1.
Yeah, and you really see that order. My other big question coming out of this race here, though, is Christian Damiandes. Hopefully that cart is okay. We saw him going off into the barriers. we want to see that mom and pop team come
I'm
back.
just gutted for that. You know, when you start in the pole position, you want to have that result. You did a great job in qualifying, and then have some contact, end it like that. I hate seeing that happen for a young driver.
Yeah, and it is such a hard thing for a young driver to get that mental reset.
So true.
You've got the better part of a day to get back in everything for heat race number 2, which will be coming after lunch, but such a difficult situation to get that reset, to just go, okay, that was was heat 1, I got to do this again.
Well, and listen, that's what we're here for, right? This is all about driver development. This is about these young kids working with their coaches and working with the families. And listen, that happened, put it behind you. We're going to do it again, get back on the racetrack. You know you have the speed. That's what they'll keep telling them. You have the speed to do this. You have the speed to run up front. Let's have a recovery drive in heat race number 2.
And that can show you more about a young driver,
So
I think,
true.
than anything else. If you have that strong recovery drive to come back, to show that mental fortitude, that's going to show some of those bigger teams. Again, privateer team that we're talking about here for Christian.
Yep.
That's going to show some of those bigger teams we may want to invest in this young man.
So let's talk about that extra level of I can English, that extra level of hard work they got to do, because again, full 10 in a normal kind of environment like this, you maybe have a backup chassis, you have a full group of guys, you got a chassis jig, you can go and get this kart worked on. These guys, we don't know what they're working with here in terms of tools, in terms of extra resources. So that's unfortunately going to be maybe not as much sleep tonight as the Damianidises are hoping for.
Well, they got 3.5 hours. They're back on track at 2:30. And one of the things, folks, if you're watching, maybe new to karting, if you found us here in the ROK Cup USA YouTube channel, so if you bend an axle, the axles can come out, right? You can change a wheel. If you bend the chassis, you're going back to Tiego's chassis plate. Essentially, they have the plate. They take the cart apart. They put it on this chassis plate that just kind of knows exactly where everything is. Then they start bending on it. They try to tweak it back to the same shape. Sometimes it's better. Sometimes it's not.
So that's what I was going to ask you. Does it ever feel truly the same then after you get a point to bent chassis? Does it feel like maybe, if we're using the big car terms, I don't want to say necessarily like a cracked tub because that's a complete write-off, right? But getting to that point where you're getting to the rails, that's getting to the point where maybe it's not going to feel like the same kart again.
I'll say this. I think the guys in the back, Diego and his team, they do a heck of a job. They get the thing within a couple of millimeters of what it used to be, even get it back to perfect. You go back in the old days of karting, back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, when we used to tweak our chassis.
Right.
Maybe the kart wasn't right. We'd tweak it ourselves to try to get it to where we wanted it to be, to get it to scale out correctly, right? You want the kart itself, the cross weights. You want the weights across correct. They'll be able to get it back to where they want to be. But remember, that, like you said, this is a mod pod deal. This isn't like you're rolling into Rawlson Performance Group or Speed Concepts or Nash or PSL, and the team jumps on top of it. This is mom and dad there. So, but I will say this, it would not surprise me if somebody shows up to help them, potentially maybe, hey, you know what, we see what you guys are going through. Somebody in this paddock will probably come. I'm not going to say to the rescue, but I would not be surprised to see if somebody comes to lend a hand.
Well, that's just the kind of performance and the kind of camaraderie is what I was looking for there that you get in a paddock such as this. It's a lovely thing to see. All right, up next, we've got the ROK Shifter Pros coming at you, and this one's fun. You always love the shifter carts, Jackson.
It's easily the fastest carts we've got on track, and in this case, Rob, it's going to be multi-class madness. Both the Pros, Masters, and Super Masters out on track. Not the size of grid we were hoping for, but man, it is a top-heavy field here. You look at some of the international superstars. Oh my gosh, Adrian Reneden coming in from Europe with Sodi. Daniel Vasile looking to run it back with the Talcar. A lot of big names here trying to get glory here in Shifter.
Did they indeed elect to put them together? I'm looking at the schedule here. They got
I could be wrong.
ROK Shifter Masters and Super Masters at 12:45.
No, this is Pro. The Masters is later.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Original game plan was to run all shifters, and we've changed it, so we'll run the crazy old men, as we call it, later on in the day. But the Pro shifters, I mean that in sole endearment, Rob.
I feel that. I feel that. Indeed. Good to see. And listen, we haven't actually touched on that. That's one of the kind of cool things that's happened as well is the new Supermaster category that they brought in the weekend here. 45 years of age and older. When you're running in the Masters category, it's 32 and up. So when you get to 45 or 50, all of a sudden you're 15, 17 years older than some of the young guns in the Masters category. So they came up with the Supermasters class, and I'll tell you, the 45-plus-year-old drivers, they came to play.
Oh, yeah.
There's a ton of them in the category, so both in the VLR and in the shifter category. I love it. Great to see a bunch of guys that are more my age come out and have some fun.
Yeah, I'm definitely in the more Masters category, so we've kind of got all three age groups represented
I'm still
here.
Technically senior eligibility, I'm not sure, but man. So here we go, karts out on track. And again, very healthy variety of what we got out in front, but Jacob Gulick for GFC, we've talked about one of the more dominant teams in this category in recent years, going back and forth with Formula K, and Jacob Gulick really putting the best foot forward for Gary Carlton's team to try and make it a win number 4 in this division.
Yeah, it's interesting to be 12 drivers in the field. Gulick, obviously a driver we know has been a top national pilot for many years. Cooper Beckland's a driver who can win if you put him behind the wheel. Something he'll be on the outside. You already mentioned Reneden as well. You look at the drivers from the Italia Motors crew as well. Scott Hargrove, who has raced here many, many years. Italia Motors has been around. They were here when we were first here in 2002. They actually, I believe, locked out the front row in the, what was the ICC category back then. And I think it was it might have been Michael Valiente and David Yurka. So Italia Motors has been here many years. Hargrove started the year in the Masters categories to get himself back dialed in to run in the pro category here in October and November. So for him to run the Masters class, to kind of dial himself back in, and I think Massimino Valiente will be one to watch as well.
Certainly will. As they line up onto the grid here at this point, it's going to be Gulick and Beckland in your front row. Gulick to your right and Beckland to the left. Waiting for the last couple of karts to line up into the box here. Standing start for these karts as they are the shifters and they are able to do so. There it is, getting ready, helmets down and eyes towards the flag stand. This is what you love to see, a standing start here in karting. Lights around and there we go, and just off of the outbeat, whoa, we got some karts slipping and sliding already. I think that was Reneden that may have gotten a little bit crazy. Valiente as well, bumping up and down, almost doing wheelies down the front straightaway.
Massive start for Massimo as he's able to get out of the box cleanly and up into P4. Not cleanly, out of the box well, but then he got it so well he made some contact there. There's Valiente right there in that 4th position. Again, the opening couple of corners here are crucial. Tires not quite up to temperature where they need to be, and a lot of the times here with these fast corners for shifters, you're going to see these guys make deep dive moves to apexes when we see overtakes. Out of the gate, though, not surprisingly, Jacob Gulick in the GFC goes P1.
Yeah, and Reneden up into 2nd. Beckland, Valiente, and Mateo Pappas in 5th position. Battle on right now for the, looks like 4th spot, is that's going to be Valiente, Pappas, and Hargrove trying to sort themselves out.
Early laps, as we said, drivers getting aggressive, but out front, Gulick nicely into position. Reneden got a good start and finally was able to get by Beckland at the tail end of that opening lap. So Cooper Beckland settling now into the 3rd spot, running with Nelton Race Concepts on, I believe, the LN chassis. But Gulick up front in the GFC, Reneden with Velocity Racing.
Yep, trying to hold everything together as they fly down through 11 and 12, back up onto the front straightaway here. Trying to see a little bit of a squirrel there for Reneden, but the fastest lap of the race, Jackson, he is definitely starting to put some pressure onto the back of Jacob Gulick as they dive down into turn 6.
New colors for Vegas for that Velocity Racing with Sodium Machine. That highlighter orange traded in for some chrome, and kind of the big story we've talked about all year long, Adrian Reneden, the Flying Frenchman, coming in from Europe, a multi-time champion in a handful of categories, trying to give racing in the USA a shot the first race weekend in a barrier track like this, and he has absolutely loved it. It's been physical, it's been rough, and he's loved every single moment of it from what I've talked to him about, and he loves this competition. He's already had some chats with Cooper Beckland, with Massimo Valiente, and not necessarily sharing notes, but definitely some conversations about how they would sort things out wheel to wheel. But Reneden having a blast in his first time here in Vegas.
And doing a great job with it as well. Battle for the top 3 position now. I'm going to say it's a little bit of a breakaway with Gulick, Reneden, Beckland, Valiente, Pappas, Hargrove, and it looks like they're Maldonado as well, making up that 2nd pack. Not too far behind. Massimo Valiente starting to close in, Rob.
Yeah, and this is it. This first couple of laps in, you kind of settled in here. You're being aggressive out of the gate, first and foremost, but once you get into the position, then you're feeling what kind of kart you had. Because remember, every time you come back to the racetrack, you've made changes. This is not a track where, or anytime you're at a temporary circuit, you're not kind of standing on your laurels. A lot of times you're making big swings. The track changes so much over a day, especially when you start going wheel to wheel. A lot of the times during practice sessions, drivers are running just that racing line, right? So that's where kind of the rubber lays down, or where it starts to at least clean up. Because remember, this track gets super dirty the other 360 days when we're not here.
Right.
So the bottom line is it's going to keep evolving throughout the weekend. So sometimes you're making big swings at the chassis to try to find that speed you need. The opening couple of laps, when you're low on tire pressure, it's not perfect. But once it gets into where we are now, lap 5, lap 6, tire temps are up, pressures are up. Now it really starts to tell you if your changes were the right ones or the wrong ones.
Jacob Gulick responding to Adrian Renadin here and setting the fastest lap of the race with a 39.742 and maybe starting to get a little bit of breathing room. Massimo Valiente in an island unto himself there in P4. You can see him. He's broken away from Matteo Pappas in 5th right now. That's a good, Pappas rather. That's a good run for him. I think just getting that little bit of breathing room for Massimo is going to really help him try to close in on front on Becklin.
Yeah, once you have the open track, because the bottom line is this, you're either focusing forward or you're focusing backwards, right? A lot of times when you're on the chase, you got that rabbit in front of you, you're digging. But if someone's behind you kind of poking a nose, you really can't give 100% focus on what you're doing. That's trying to either chase down or overtake the driver in front of you. Valiente's got open racetrack. It's almost a full second back to Matteo Pappas running in that 5th position. So he's able to focus forward. Last time by, lost about a 10th on Becklin, because you can see up front there, Cooper Becklin doing a great job right now. He's essentially matching the pace of the guys up front, so maybe a couple of hundredths of a second off. He has got the speed to make this a 3-driver breakaway.
Yeah, he does, and I think for him, he may be hoping a little bit for Adrian Renadin to try to send a move here on Jacob Gulick. If that happens, that's the open opportunity for Cooper Becklin, Jackson.
Dude, get up there. Let's go.
I think, again, the main opportunity, the main mantra here for Renadin is don't make an expensive move, right? Because if you go too deep, too aggressive, you're immediately dragging Cooper Becklin right into that mix, right? Same approach for Becklin. If I got that gap, I'm going to go for it, but I got to make it quick because I want to work my way to the front. I don't want to waste too much time here battling for second to the point where Gulick is in another time zone.
Yeah, that's it. And if he gets close enough, you got to make that decisive move, right? Yeah, if you make one, or if he defends to the point where you're all checking up, that's what brings everybody back in. I think we're going to see that. I'm seeing how this track's going to play it out. There's going to be corners here once we get maybe closer, Saturday and rolling off course into Sunday. The drivers are going to start to run that defensive line. When they do, they're going to lose so much exit speed. It's going to stack everybody up. I will say this, a 2 or a 3 car battle up front is not going to be clear if they start racing midway through the pack. That's one of the key things here. If they're not patient, if they don't wait for those last couple laps to battle it out, everything's going to be blown wide open. You could be 7th, you could be in the lead a lap later, to be honest.
Yeah, especially on a momentum track.
Yeah.
We keep coming back to that, but that is what the big storyline is going to be for today and for the rest of this weekend. Crossing over the line here with 2 minutes and 2 laps left to go in the race. Renadin takes the fastest lap of the race back with a 39.603 and hold that in, Jackson.
Yeah, and just going to the momentum of this track, we got to realize, again, with these parking lots, how physical that is at that speed. It's hard to see just how much the parked cars that have been here laid down that asphalt, kind of have it sink just a little bit.
Yeah.
I wish we had the camera just a smidge lower up because you are able to see them jumping in the seats here going through the S's.
Jackson, that's a great point. One of the things about this track is, let's say you're running down in Dallas or you're at Newcastle and the rubber goes down. You got the G's from the rubber. You don't get G's from rubber at a track like this, right? Because you're just not laying a lot of rubber down. The difference is what you said. This track, they park transport trucks on here sometimes. Like, this thing will heave back and forth. It's very often one of the bumpiest racetracks we run all year. When people talk about, yeah, we got to the track and the layout was a bit different than you guys figured out. Well, Mike Burrell would, I guarantee, tell you, we were walking around the track, we can't have a corner here because literally there's a huge pothole or whatever it may be, right? So this is a track that's rougher only because of the actual condition of the track itself.
And I believe in your outlap with Burrell, or excuse me, your face-to-face with Burrell, Mike mentioned there was a certain plan for a track, I believe, in 2023. They couldn't do it because there was some kind of Chinese food festival, and there was oil on the track that kept them from rubbering it down.
Not engine oil either.
Yes,
cooking oil.
We got to stop talking about food because it is getting spicy here on track. Renadin, another purple lap, and he is all over the back of Jacob Gulick here.
Yeah. I was going to say a couple laps ago, they were all within about 29 thousandths of a second on pace, and indeed they're all still very close, but indeed Renadin's just lit the fires. 39.592. DJ, here he comes. And watch for the pass coming in these shifter kart categories these days. It's not a big rolling pass. A lot of the times, they'll just knife it to the apex. And a European driver like Renaudin knows exactly how to get that done.
But he lost a little bit of time there, coming through 10, 11, and 12. He actually poked his nose to the outside of turn 10, which was a move that we thought some drivers may do, setting up for turn 11. Looks like he kind of half-heartedly went with it. 2 laps to go, by the way, and it cost him a little bit of time. He's going to catch up here through turn 8. Differing lines there. Now into turn 9, and it looks like, again, Renaudin experimenting here a little bit. I like that strategy from Adrian.
I talked about that right when we were going wheel-to-wheel racing for the first time. They're really getting a feel for when you're battling with somebody. Where is the overtake, and how do I set that overtake up? Oftentimes, it doesn't come in that particular corner. It's going to come a couple of corners earlier when you take a different line to set yourself up to maybe be able to make that move to the inside.
Using a Justin Prince's in here, DJ, diamonding the corner, right?
Yep.
Planning it and launching it very motocross style, right? Using all of that power you've got to make it as shallow as possible. Set yourself up for those over-unders. Again, getting, in some cases here for the shifters we see across North America, well north of 30 horsepower. So a lot of opportunities to make up for that lost momentum, if you will.
All right, here comes Gulick holding off through those final couple of corners, down through turn 13. And here he comes to the line. White flag is in the air, and with that, Jacob Gulick's going to retake the fastest lap of the race.
Now, whether or not Renaudin throws one at him, he's P2 here right now. Great lap there for Gulick. Probably needed to do that to kind of shut down any thought from Renaudin to make a pass. Yeah, indeed, to be able to go that much quicker and get a really strong lap in here, the little breather he needed, Renaudin is now probably like, okay, listen, I'm not going to be able to throw this one in. I'll take a P2. We'll move to heat race number 2. Gulick very impressive out front.
Yeah, commanding drive, and not a dominant drive, I would say, but a commanding one in that he was constantly situationally aware, and that is going to play out here with a checkered flag for Jacob Gulick, taking victory here in heat race number 1. Adrian Renaudin and Cooper Becklin will round out your podium.
Yeah, those top 3 drivers kind of settled in early. Becklin did have some pace, fell back a little bit at the end, couldn't quite get down into the mid 39.5s like both Gulick and Renaudin were able to do. Massimo Valiante, as we had said, it's kind of a run-around race, right? He just got in a position where he was. He was far enough ahead of Pappas not to have to worry about it. Didn't have the pace to get to Becklin. But Valiante, take that P4, go to the next one, right? I'll be happy there. Another a strong start in the front 2 rows. Pappas coming home in 5th. Carlos Maldonado, guys, with the biggest moves. He and I believe Lars Oland are able to go up 3 spots from their starting position.
And Orlander, I think, got that position on the last lap of the race, which tells me that he is consistently experimenting, as we said. So that impresses me. And Valiante, remember, great start for Valiante. Watch for him this afternoon in heat race number 2.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, DJ. I feel like everybody in the top 4 here is really in contention. But talking to Jacob Gulick, who took the pole yesterday with a pretty dominant gap, about half a second, just under half a second, and I jokingly was like, I still know the way you guys operate as an organization. You're getting on the tools. You're trying to make any changes for tomorrow. And he said, absolutely. But that is still a major shot across the bow of that GFC machine from Adrian Renaudin, who was right on the bumper all heat long and is sending that message to the 415. I'm here. I'm figuring things out.
Yeah, Gulick knows how to win races. He's done that several times on the national level. The baseline for GFC is good. DJ coming out of the gate of 39.568, as you said. Reset fast lap right at the very end there, lap number 14. Renaudin and Becklin not that far back, maybe a couple of hundredths. Not even a full tenths back for Becklin. It'll be Massimo Valiante. They've got to find some speed. They need a couple of tenths to be able to battle with the front 3.
Yeah, I think they do, and that's where you're going to be taking those big swings there, Rob, to really get things together. And I think the same is true, obviously, for Maldonado or Pappas a little bit farther down. But the biggest one to watch out of that is Massimo Valiante. I think it's going to be very interesting to see if Massimo is able to get that same lightning start that we saw him have in the beginning of that race. If he's able to push his way forward, maybe get up into those podium positions, get his elbows out a little bit in defense, see what he can do from there.
He got a great start, like you said. Maybe just a little bit more to the left, wouldn't make contact as he did. A very strong launch off the line, but P4, take that, move on to the race this afternoon. And again, that will be, I believe, 2:45 for the drivers in that the pro shifter category.
Yeah.
So with that, I believe we're going to have to step aside here for just a minute to pay the bills, but we'll be right back here as we get set for more action from ROK Vegas. You're watching the ROK Cup USA YouTube channel.
ROK the Rio is an international event, and all of the biggest teams in the country come out here to race each other.
I mean, I love karting because it's all I've known since age 8.
It's the best sport out there. You know, it's extremely hard to master. You're always learning something. You got to be on your game on all fronts, or you're not running up front.
I became very religious the last couple laps.
Further back, there's contact against the wall.
I'm out of the first turn on the last lap and I smacked the wall. I'll tell you, the last lap was clear of emotion and cried like a baby.
So to win Vegas, you just have to be perfect. You not only have to be extremely fast, but you simply cannot make mistakes.
Vegas, if I could win again, means a lot. I have all my family that come out for that race, so when everyone's there, there's a bit more pressure, but it means a lot. It's the Super Bowl of karting.
I think we have a chance at winning, but we are going to have to work at it.
It's still the biggest race that I've ever won as far as the bucket list item.
Welcome back to ROK Vegas. DJ Clark, Rob Howden, and Jackson Lambros joining you here as we get ready to send out the ROK VLR Masters and Super Masters. Rob, a lot of experience in this field, as you would expect, but that just means it's more fun.
That's it. Again, the great thing about this, you look at some of the drivers who are in this field, you're talking about guys that have been champions regionally and nationally over the last 10, 15, 20 years, right? Because that's that Master and Super Masters class. So there is so much talent. The racing's going to be fantastic. Not surprising that Scott Falcone was good coming out of the gate, but there is a bunch of guys in this category. Both these classes, they're going to be able to run up front. This will be fun.
Yeah, it'll be very, very fun. And this is always, I feel like, the most strategic race that we see, Jackson. It's because of the experience that these guys have that it is so much that they have been able to put under their belts, that they know to rely on it. And then the flip of it is that any strategic attacks that may be trying to send, strategic defense is also played into it.
Well, I think that's a part of the appeal, one of the many appeals for ROK Vegas. And without getting too much into the pun work here, this is a wild card of a track, guys. Not driving this layout until this week, obviously. Not seeing the layout until the weeks in advance. But again, these guys have raced with each other in some cases for years on end. They know the way they interact with one another on the racetrack. That's going to lead to some guys maybe finding dance partners. We've already seen that in a good chunk of qualifying. But who's going to be comfortable running with who? Who's going to be comfortable maybe working with one another? Again, these engines are a little bit smaller than the GPs and the SVs, so a little bit more teamwork, a little bit more of that Talladega-style draft racing going to be in effect here.
Yeah, I've driven the VLR. Fantastic engine, a lot of fun to drive. But you're right. The funny thing about this is we've got these drivers that have been around for so long. They have exactly the same competitive fire as anybody else. You see a lot of these drivers, remember, to stay at this level, too, they're hitting the gym like crazy to make sure they're able to still run at this level of competition. Because I'll tell you, it may be the VLR, it's a little down in the horsepower than some of the other categories. It's still going to beat the crap out of you where you're on the racetrack. So these drivers here have to be in shape. They put the time in on the gym. This is a big, big race for a lot of these drivers here this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it is a big race no matter what category you are in.
Huge.
If you are at ROK Vegas, you are at the granddaddy of them all, for lack of a better term, as here they come out onto the track, your VLR Masters and Super Masters. Of course, leading us around into pole position is going to be Renato David, Ben Cooper, Molinari, and Fonseca, and then Kyle Hayner, your top five.
Yeah, you look at Renato David. This guy has won so many big races here at ROK Vegas. He's run Super National. This is the guy that knows how to win any type of a major race. And then you got Ben Cooper, again, simply one of the best drivers in the world, especially when he was younger. Even now that he's a Masters driver, he's the guy you would put, I think, the number one on out of the gate immediately. Ben Cooper is absolutely fantastic.
No, guys, you look at the history here, the past winners in VLR Masters, it's David, Cooper, David, Cooper. And I don't think there's been a single year in this running where there's been one of those two off of the podium. This has been a nearly half-decade-long battle between those two. That's going to be a really, really fun one to look out for. And again, Scott Falcone further back, 7th overall, first in the Supermasters. We'll see what he can do in that 99 Orsilon. Good mix of talent here, good mix of backgrounds.
Scott. All right. David and Cooper up into the lead as, we've got a wave off there, it looks. No, are we going?
No, one lap.
One lap.
Not sure why they decided not to go green that time by.
I saw a couple of drivers waving their hands as if something was wrong, so I'm not entirely sure. But yes, we do have yellow flags waved, so we're going to re-rack and restack once more. David will lead you around to the green room. Rob, I cut you off on a point there.
No, I was just going to say that it's interesting because I was Scott Falcone's teammate at the CKNA Grand Nationals, and we talked a lot about this race and how excited he was that ROK Cup USA added the Supermaster category. He said he'd been talking to so many drivers. Hey, let's go run Rock Vegas. They're like, well, I'm 58 years old, and I'm running against 32, 33, 35-year-olds. So he was kind of the guy that stepped behind this and said, hey, let's make this happen. And then everybody kind of rose to the occasion. How many drivers have kind of rolled in here to be part of the Supermasters category? I think it's a fantastic thing. I love it. CKNA has a 50-plus class called Legends. We had 46 drivers at the Grand Nationals. Like, again, there's 46 guys who are 50 and up that want to race. Love the fact that this category, the Supermasters class, brought a lot of people back to this amazing event. They may not have come if it weren't for the fact that they have a class that's 45 and up.
Exactly. All right, David now comes into that starting lane, and there we go. We are racing, put 8 minutes up on the clock, and it is going to be David and Hayner look like they are 1-2 as they dive down into turn 1. Everybody through cleanly, still a little bit side by side. That's around Kastner, Cooper, Molinati trying to hold that out, and now here comes the move of Hayner trying to be able to get around David. Not able to do it. Definitely letting him know that he is right there.
Yeah, Kyle aggressive on the opening lap, going right after RJD. Big aggressive move early, and Cooper settling in there as well. They were 3 wide coming through turn number 1 and then over into turn number 5 as well. So giving each other some racing room. Nice to see here out of the Masters and Supermasters drivers here. RJD, Renato Jader David, aggressive right now as he's got drivers right behind him. Here comes Kyle Hayner, and look who's coming with him. To the inside, book it. Hayner goes to the lead, Cooper goes to P2.
And that's a little bit of that teamwork coming into play. And now here comes Cooper back down to the inside on the over-under. Going to get it done. David fighting back with him. Keep him fighting down into turn 6.
First couple of races, a lot tamer than the Masters drivers who have got at it very quickly. Ben Cooper, the British driver, now calling himself a Canadian, lives out there in the eastern parts of Canada, and again, a driver we see up front here. He's got his own driving academy as well. A fantastic coach. Actually, was my coach when I ran in Las Vegas here a couple of years ago, and just so intelligent, just the way he's able to detail what I was supposed to do on the racetrack. Look at that. David's like, just go. I'm not going to pass you. He goes, let's get away from these guys right now. Wow. Falcone up into 3rd. Scott Falcone, both he and Jader David for Orsilon Racing. Scott Falcone, Supermasters driver, P3 overall.
And talk about some momentum there. That is 4 positions, I think, in about a lap and a half, Jackson.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I was joking with you this morning. I've done so many international or so many regional levels. I don't think there's been a single event that he hasn't been at, kind of one of the journeymen of this sport across so many regional and national events. And to see him again flex this muscle for Orsilon has been phenomenal. And again, out in front, you're seeing a multi-year long, I guess, rivalry, frenemy kind of type relationship, working together, saying, hey, let's get out of here. We can battle one another. Just give me your bumper and we can work.
So Scott Falcone ran for many, many years back, in the early 2010s, that kind of thing, ran all the major national events, stepped away for a little bit, then came back a couple of years ago and has obviously dove back into the deep end, lost 30 or 35 pounds, I think, to get himself where he needs to be. He's been in the gym. He'll slunk down to the back of that seat to try to get low as he possibly can. Watch him pop back up when he gets up into the braking zone there of turn number 10. Love seeing what he's able to do right now, but you're right, this multi-year rivalry between Ben Cooper and Renato David ignited once again here at Rock Vegas.
Yeah, and they're just trying to pull away from Scott Falcone, who's leading a little bit of a pack of Kyle Hayner, Eric Molinari, and Ryan Kasner, trying to see if they can get away from all of this, coming down into 6 and 7. Cooper and David, I love what we saw earlier, Jackson. Just that little bit of motion, that go ahead. Rob and I were laughing about it, but I love that you can see that in karting. It's one of the things that makes it so special.
I was talking to viewers about that in Houston, the amount of nonverbals you're able to share with one another, the amount of personality, whether it's frustration or whatnot. As Molinari, I believe, had another look there trying to clear Kyle Hayner. Might have been Kasner as well, but they're shuffling further back for this Masters podium. Scott Falcone, though, has plenty of space, though. You got to go all the way back to 7th now with Mario Barrios. Another look to the inside there, though, from Renato David, not clearing him just yet.
Farther back in the field, I think that was Molinari taking a look on Hayner. I'm not sure if he was able to get that move done or not. We stay focused on this battle for the lead right now between David. Cart around. That looks to be the number 17.
Andres Fonseca around in the barrel arc was running in, I believe, the 18th position. Doesn't take much to have a little contact here. Again, you're on, especially with these very fast corners. You've got the kart set, right? All it takes is somebody to get on your bumper, you lose the rear, and around it goes. Tough one there for Fonseca, who's running in the 18th spot.
Yeah, he'll look to maybe bounce back later today or tomorrow. But there's that other look from David, and Molinari, by the way, was able to get that move done on Hayner, move Molinari up into P4. It's going to separate that pack out a little bit more, and it looks like there that Lorenzo Martin able to set the fastest lap of the race with all his battling on up front. Martin able to take it away.
DJ, let's just tell the fans watching on the ROK Cup YouTube channel, you'll see the different categories on the side. Ben Cooper and Ronald Jardar David up top, but then you got Falcone in the Masters class. Barrios runs second, Mir third. Those different colorations where they have the numbers will denote whether it's Masters or Super Masters.
Exactly, and that's good to keep in mind. So Scott Falcone doing pretty well up in third place. He's got a 3-kart gap in between himself and his closest competitor in that Super Masters category of Mario Barrios.
Big mover right now further back, Tim Meyer, not surprising me, works his way up from 16th to 11th. He's +5 already. Yeah, he's the biggest mover. +6.
Move for David down to the inside. He's able to take that away, and now here comes Cooper fighting back on him. It's back and forth and back.
Well, you know, DJ, I talked about the fact that these drivers like to lead. There's a good example right there. Jardar David throws it in. He grabs the lead. Cooper's like, no, I'm taking it right back. Falcone loving this. They give him an opportunity to get back in. Little cover to the bottom of the inside of turn number 10. Cooper going to try to hold on. Renato Jardar David, and here comes Scott Falcone.
Falcone up into the battle as well. A little bit of a look back on the back straightaway for Ben Cooper, and welcome to the fight now. Molinari and Hayner, defensive line here for Cooper. David's going to try to go around the outside of turn 1. Not going to work. Look for the cross back here. He's going to try to now go into the inside there for the next corner. And now, once again, rolling speed around the outside is going to be Ben Cooper. Battle side by side. Falcone just has to pick a lane. Welcome to the fight, Hayner and Molinari.
And look at what I said before. The minute you start covering midway through, it brings everybody back into a fight. They show it right here. They started scrapping up front. You saw that Cooper started defending to the inside, heading into turn number 1, and then Jardar David was trying to get to the inside as well. When you run that big line, Jackson, everybody coming back in.
And that's given Kyle Hayner the opportunity to advance up into third. The head of Hayner Racing Team out of Southern California, running with speed sense, now tries to look for numbers 2. Here he goes to the inside of Cooper, who was at the point a vast majority of this race. Falcone now trying to get him.
And remember, Hayner went to second early but fell back, kind of got shuffled back a little bit. This is that second opportunity for him to be able to put himself maybe in a shot to fight with David for the race win. Still a long way to go, a minute plus the 2 laps. So we're getting down to the end of this one, likely 4 laps in total. But indeed, the big winner of all this fighting here was Kyle Hayner to get himself back into there. Jackson looking very strong here to potentially come away with a race win.
And don't lose track of Charlie Fonseca here as well. In 5th place right now, setting the fastest lap of the race. He's only up 1 position. He could have something to say. But now into turn 1, David has to go a little bit defensive. Hayner not able to send a move quite yet. Ben Cooper just licking his lips, waiting for the opportunity. And Scott Falcone, who now has the fastest lap of the race, he's right there as well.
Go, old guys!
I'll tell you what, Scott Falcone is ready to kick over some sandcastles here if he gets the opportunity, because he has really shown pace here and is already been wheel to wheel with Hayner a good chunk of this race earlier on.
When they started going back and forth there over, I believe, in turn number 3 and 4, turn 5 rather, he almost was able to get to the lead to move to the inside. He's waiting for that again, right? He's back to P4. He's got David, Hayner, and Cooper in front of him again. He just wants to see them start battling one more time. 2 laps to go.
Well, and to your point that you said earlier, notice Falcone on that straightaway just ducking down, making himself as small as possible. As here comes Cooper, that's where Cooper looks really, really strong. Coming out of turn 5, we've seen him be able to defend the front position from there, and now he's trying to use it on the attack. Not able to get it done there, but I'd be taking notes if I'm the rest of this field.
Watch Falcone again. He actually scoots his butt forward so he can get down in. He puts his butt as far as he can. That's to get down low. He's got a bigger upper body, and with the aerodynamics, he's going to smack him right in the middle of the chest. The lower he can get, the better. He's not one of the more diminutive drivers here in the circuit.
We see some of the taller guys as well in Shifter. Cooper Becklin kind of doing that way of hitting DRS. Sometimes it's just smashing that head against the steering wheel, right? Finding any way to punch as small of a hole through the air.
Cooper's like 6'3" or something like that.
But again, finding any way possible to punch as little of a hole in the air as possible. Maximize that. Working right now for Scott Falcone.
Yeah, it really is. He's able to tuck into the back of this group, but with Renato David able to hold on to the lead here. Look at this. The gap growing. That's almost a 1/10 of a second on the last lap faster than anybody else.
DJ Cooper was able to get by Hayner in that pass. Checking up, they both lost a bit of exit speed with that overtake. That has played to Renato David. He's going to see the white flag this time by when they come back. I don't think Cooper is close enough to even put a move on him right now, especially with Hayner right on him. There's a bit of contact there in turn 1.
Give him a little bit of a love tap coming into turn 1. I think respectfully, though, there, Hayner not going for the overtake, but now because of that contact, he's got to watch out for Falcone, who maybe have an eye here on P3. They're going to come down into turn 8. No pokes there, and now we're going to work our way. Excuse me, that was coming into 9 right now. Keep an eye here on Kyle Hayner. Yep, there's the move, side by side, coming down into turn 10.
Yeah, big cover to the inside for Cooper. Ran the defensive line down the back straightaway. Hayner not able to capitalize on that with an over-under coming through the 10, 11, 12 complex. So Jader David's going to come away with race win number 1. Cooper's going to take second. Falcone behind Hayner. Oh! Big contact coming out of the final corners there, and the driver is gone over. And you see him crawling off the racetrack. Hard impact coming through out of 12 over to 13. DJ, one driver over.
That's never what you want to see here in the world of karting. Massive, massive contact farther back in the pack there. And thankfully, we did see that driver moving around a little bit, but that was a brutal lick.
Hard hit coming out of the corner there. See the rest of the drivers coming by. We don't have a number yet on who that was. And again, this is the fight, right? Deeper in the field, guys are scrapping for it. All it takes, you kind of put a wheel to try to get to potentially to the inside of someone, and up and over you go. Tough one there for that driver here, hoping to get to the checkered flag.
Yeah, and that's the kind of push that you talk about, the aggression that you want to see when you're closing in on that to just gain that last little position, how helpful it can be. And there is that contact. Cart was actually flipped upside down before we got to it, it looked like.
DJ, we've got this thing racked up. Have a look at top part of the screen here right now. It looks to me like they got together coming out of turn 12. So top part of the screen, that one driver's already up and out of the cart. Yeah, indeed. The contact was there and then hard into the barriers for, I believe, trying to figure out, that might have been the 764 of Matthew Meach was involved in that as well. Tough one. Those drivers getting together coming out of 12. You hate to see that. You don't want any kind of incident like that. The staff on scene here now. Here's another look at it here, DJ.
Yeah, and I think that was Joshua Daly and Matthew Meach. That's what I'm seeing from that contact. Yeah, you never, ever want to see anything like that. We've got medical there on site, as you can imagine. So they're going to take a look at everything, make sure everybody is okay. And I believe Jackson has scurried off. He's going to get us an answer on that as soon as possible.
Yeah, Jackson was quickly on to the scene. We're going to have Jackson Lambros with a lot of pit lane interviews for us. Drivers coming off the track after races. We'll get that rolling here this afternoon as well. But again, welcome to those of you who are joining us here on a Friday afternoon, whether you're on the West Coast here with us, 11:33 local time, or on the East Coast watching as well. Drivers from all over the country, part of ROK Vegas here this weekend. Looking forward to getting to Sunday to find out who comes away with the big trophies. But again, what we say coming out of the gate, DJ, chance to see how this track races. There's been a lot of overtakes. We've seen some defense already, especially from Ben Cooper there early on. That didn't play out too well for him. But the bottom line is we've seen the drivers who have rose to the top to start off this weekend.
Yes, they have. And all right, we are going to take a quick little break away from you. We've got some interviews lined up, so we're going to send on over to that. Hope you enjoy.
Decided to grab Ryan Norberg. We interviewed him earlier in the year when he was with a different team. We just kind of want to talk to him about, his experiences with switching teams, and this is your first time on the GFC, for official, national race. How's that going for you?
It's going really well. Gary's obviously a great guy, and he's got a really good program that he's been working pretty hard on. And so it's been really fun to get to know him, or just kind of further our relationship, I'd say. And then obviously get to just keep working on the card and trying to get the program, at the front.
So what is your role now with GFC?
So now I've become the Norberg Karting Academy as the Southeast distributor of the GFC. So we are taking on kind of pretty much everything in Florida and the Southeast of the United States, just to help grow the brand. That's really an amazing opportunity for me and my team, because we're able to provide our customers with a great product, and then also be able to bring in new people and just really show them what this kart's all about and what it can do. And we're going to be running all of the Winter Series stuff, and so it's going to be really exciting just to be able to have my own banner out there with drivers under my name.
He's running the new SV engine that Vortex brought out to this event. Just give us a little bit of thoughts and your opinion on that.
So far, I'm very happy with it. The kart is, the engine is, it's pretty, standard. It's not really like there's a lot of different ways to go with it. The carburetor is very simple, which for us is fantastic because there's not a lot of variances between the engines, and obviously with the raffle, it really just keeps things shuffled up. And so that's obviously really good for the competitors because everybody just seems to be pretty even, it's just simple, and that's for us, that's kind of what you want. You don't really want to have something that you need to have different strategies for and tune it a certain way. It's pretty straightforward, which is what we like.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Ryan, hey, I appreciate it. Best of luck to you. Wish you the best.
Welcome back to ROK Vegas. My name is DJ Clark here, and it looks like we are going to maybe get a little bit of information here from Jackson Lambrose, who is down on site after that very scary crash coming down through turn 13. Car flipped upside down. As we will be getting that information here shortly. Again, this was the end of the ROK VLR Masters and Super Masters division. Drivers making their way around the track. On the last lap of the race, we did have a big incident coming through turn 13. I want to thank you all very much for joining us here trackside or on the YouTube channel. It's a real pleasure to be able to bring you all of the racing action throughout the day. And as you can imagine, this is never the scene that we want to be covering here, but we want to make sure we're able to get you that information as much as possible. Again, we believe that was Joshua Daly and Matthew Meach involved in that incident. As we continue to monitor the situation. I'm waiting for that update here, as it sounds like we're going to go down to Jackson now.
Guys, let's get the good news out of the way. Daly, fortunately, okay and able to get out on his own response. Looked a lot scarier than it actually was for him. It was an admitted fault there, maybe getting a little bit overambitious on that final corner. Clipped the inside of Bonilla, and you guys saw the incident yourself, flipped over. That kart is for sure donezo. Got some ice on it and was able to limp back over to that Nash Motorsports tent under his own power. We'll try to get more information to you as it comes, but still a big question mark on whether he's going to be able to get back in that kart. DJ?
Thank you so much for that update, Jackson, and always a thing that you want to hear here, Rob.
Yeah.
It is better than it looked.
Well, listen, it looks scary for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I was happy to see that driver crawling his way out of the way and get himself up on top of the barriers. That was, of course, for me, instead of being down the entire time. Listen, that's what the sport is about. It happens, right? Wheel to wheel. They always say that it's not if you flipped, it's when you flipped. Mm-hmm. I've had my share of them as well. It happens. But again, our safety gear is all designed for that as well, right? Unlike cars where they would have fire retardant suits, we're all about abrasion resistance, right? Mm-hmm. So everything's designed to be able to take a hit like that. You never want to see it happen. And I'm thrilled to see, especially with the Masters drivers being able to get up and hopefully continue on this afternoon.
Exactly. And we will see them back later on this afternoon. That'll be at about 3 o'clock p.m. That's when they'll be back to you. Just doing a little bit of barrier repair out on the circuit, making sure everything is together, as of course safety is the number one issue for these track workers here. I want to give a big shout out to the team here at ROK Vegas. Everybody really, really coming in strong and doing a great job throughout the week. We're the lazy ones. We get to just kind of parachute in at the end. These guys have been here since Monday or Sunday, really doing great work to get this place prepared.
And listen, again, beautiful weather here as well. 80 degrees is what we're expecting here trackside today. We will say one thing: if you hear us shivering, it's the fact that we've got the AC rocking in this in our booth here to make sure all the computer gear stays at a comfortable temperature when it starts getting hot. But yeah, DJ and I are going to have winter hats on and jackets and gloves here in a little bit. But yeah, indeed, the guys that are out there from start to finish. That's one of the things I always like to bring up. Like you said, if you're racing, you're in and out of your tent, you're gone to have lunch, whatever it may be. The staff is out here from 6:30 or 5:36 in the morning, and they're going to be here till the end of the day as well, non-stop for the ROK Cup USA workers. So shout out to them for what they're putting in here this weekend.
All right, as now we head out on track, this is going to be your VLR Junior Group A and B, and it is going to be it is Sarah Vallier and then Tristan Murphy and Cole Medeiros, your top three in this position. Medeiros, a name we are very, very familiar with, as well as Sarah Vallier, as we saw him earlier today.
Yeah, Leonardo Serravalle already with a win in the book, so he's already started his weekend off on the right foot. Tristan Murphy's been a national driver for many years. Cole Medeiros, Serravalle's teammate at Racing Edge Motorsports. He was in the USF Juniors car at Indianapolis Motor Speedway last weekend, so we'll see him in USF Juniors this year, I expect. Isaac Malkit in that fourth position. Eric Doan, who was a big mover in the junior category earlier today. He's going to have a better start here in VLR. He'll be in the fifth spot alongside Sebastian Hauser. Travis Pettit and Valentino Santian on row number 4. Andrew Jennis and Eli Steinbrook on row number 5.
All right, Sarah Vallier, we know his quality, we know his ability. Tristan Murphy going to try to challenge him here in that 899. They'll come through the final couple of corners here and get ready to get lined up and ready to go racing. Again, 8 minutes plus 2 laps as they work their way onto the main straightaway, getting out of the way. A very, very fast start movement as they go. And there we have a little bit of contact as they run. I think that was Malika trying to be able to run around the outside. 3 almost 4 wide farther back on the field.
So far, we've seen some very clean runs through turn 1, 2, and 3, so they played well. Serravalle getting an early jump here from the pole position, was able to get down to the inside. He'll have that Racing Edge Motorsports machine out front. Good job as well for Cole Medeiros. His teammate moves into second, able to put Tristan Murphy back to third, kind of covered off to the inside of turn number 8, and then through 9, allowing his teammate Serravalle to get a little bit of a jump right now, but a lot of drivers behind them, DJ, attacking very quickly.
Yeah, attacking as hard as possible here in the early stages of this race. Up at the front of the field, as you said, Serravalle doing a great job. Malakut up into second, Medeiros, then Hauser with a good start there. And Santillan also up as well. That's up 2 positions for Valentino. Good start. Tristan Murphy, though, not having a good one. He's down 4.
Yeah, outside front row starting spot. You never want to get hung out to dry, but it's pretty easy to see it happen when you're just not in the right spot. You kind of get yourself back down into the racing line. Otherwise, out front, Serravalle being chased quickly. Great start for Isaac Malkit. A couple of spots for him to be able to go where he is in the opening circuit. He'll be very happy with that launch. Put himself right on Serravalle's back bumper. Now you settle in, knowing that we have over 6.5 minutes before we even see the 2 to go. Early laps, let things happen. Grab your spot. Here comes a move to the inside. No. Serravalle across the bow from right to left, holding back Malkit. but Isaac looking for a way by already.
Yeah, Malkut showing his nose early, maybe trying to put a little bit of fear into Saravalli, trying to maybe see if he can startle him a little bit. And here he's going to try it again down to the inside of turn 8. This time he gets it done. He's going to bring Medeiros along with him.
That is such a fantastic corner. We're going to see a lot of passes like that. That 6-7 right-left combination. As you come out of that corner, you see Malkut just able to dive to the inside. You got a better run out of that corner. Took it in turn number 8.
All right, as now they come back onto the main straightaway once again, and it is going to be shuffled around in the order. Malkut, Medeiros, Saravalli, and then Hauser and Murphy, your top 5. Murphy able to gain a position as they continue to run on forward. Here they come down into that 6-7 complex that Rob talked about a little bit earlier. Saravalli holding on to that third place position, having to now defend a little bit from Sebastian Hauser. Now they come into turn 9, the flick that leads on to the back straightaway. Not seeing any poke-out moves there coming into 10 as they run.
Little look over the shoulder for Malkut to see where Medeiros is. And again, just getting things going here, as we said. 3 laps in, we'll put 4 when they come across the line here right now. Isaac Malkut as the leader. Cole Medeiros running up into second. His Racing Edge Motorsports teammate Saravalli running in third. Is Malkut with Mike Doty Racing, I believe, here this weekend. Good run for Malkut early on here. Sebastian Hauser up a spot into the 4 spot. Tristan Murphy, who started off pole, finally settling things down into P5. You'll see him at the tail of the screen there. But look how many drivers are in this lead group, guys. You got Santin in there, you got Doan, you got Pettit, Jensen trying to get back up in the fight as well.
Yeah, that really runs all the way back down to Travis Pettit in 8th place. That is this front train. Medeiros holding on to the fastest lap of the race, starting to put pressure to the back of Isaac Malkut. They're going to come out of the final corner right now, and there is that long train. A little bit of an adjustment there in the back from Pettit, maybe just trimming out that engine a little bit more, trying to play with some things.
Yeah, they're always looking at the temps, right? You can play with the needles a little bit in the carburetor. You want it right where it needs to be in terms of exhaust temp and the like. Up front, very good run here for Isaac Malkut. Remember, started back in the 4th position, quickly went to the forefront, put his head down, made the passes he needed to. Ike likes being up front. Malkut wants to be the leader, and that's where he is right now. And again, Cole Medeiros settling in, Saravalli. This is the patience you'll see. A lot of the drivers who run a lot of major races. You know, we're talking about this ROK Vegas event. Cole Medeiros was over at the ROK Cup Super Final at South Garda, Italy, just a couple of weeks ago as well. So he's been diving all in to the ROK program. Didn't qualify super well over at South Garda, but man, did he ever race his way forward. A good experience for that young driver.
As we settle into this race, I think, Jackson, you've got a little bit of an update for us on that incident that we saw earlier on in the previous race.
52. Joshua Daly, driver of the 52 for Nash Motorsports. Obviously, as you guys have seen, the big incident coming out of turn 13. Just had him jog his memory and just remembers, as you guys saw, getting clipped and unfortunately sliding through with the cart on him. The good news, though, after being checked by EMS, is back at the Nash Motorsports tent. Only reporting some soreness in his knees and elbows, getting the blunt of catching that fall. But I asked him, you know, any plans in getting in the cart later? And he said, if the guys at Nash get a cart for me, I'm hopping in.
There you go. That's what you love to hear.
As a Masters driver, I can feel his pain right now. You said elbows and knees. I can just feel my own pain as I was watching him crawl off the racetrack. I'm like, oh, I can't feel good.
I have that pain without flipping a go-kart.
Exactly that. Fast driver on the racetrack right now, Leonardo Saravalli, a 42.923. He runs third on the racetrack right now as the leaders have themselves a good little grouping here. A little bit back there to Tristan Murphy as he's worked his way back to P4. So the recovery drive for Murphy continues, having started in the off pole and then got kind of hung out to dry on the outside, moved back to 6th, got to 5th. Now he's back to 4th. So Tristan Murphy keeps digging as well. But you can see Malkut, Medeiros, and Saravalli, 1, 2, 3, the 2 Racing Edge Motorsports drivers, dialing it up on the MDR karting number 870 of Isaac Malkut.
Yeah, I want to give big credit there to Tristan Murphy. Earlier on, we talked about the sort of mental fortitude you have to have as a driver to bounce back from a rough race. I mean, to be able to bounce back like this from a rough opening lap, really, really impressive from this driver of the 899 for Ryan Perry Motorsport.
Yeah, you know, it takes, once you get kind of hung out to dry, you get back down to the groove. You got to put it behind you, right? You can't think, man, I can't believe I just lost those spots. you know that the guys up front are going to keep racing, so you got to keep digging, right? You got to keep working forward. Yeah, sure, right now Tristan Murphy about a second behind Leonardo Saravalli, but as we said at the very top of the broadcast, those early races that were happening, you know the coaches were out watching it, the team owners were out watching it, a lot of the drivers were out watching it. All right, what happens when the defense, when it comes? Can I come back? And we saw that already. The minute the defense starts, if you're back and forth within a second and a half, there's a good possibility you're going to find yourself right in the middle of the scrum once again.
All right, Malcut, Medeiros, and Saravalli up in the front. They continue to run, and I think this is going to have a little bit of a sense to percolate here. Probably 2 laps to go at the line as they crossed over with about 50 seconds left to go on the clock. 2 laps, rather, until the 2 laps, I should say. So that is a total of 4 laps, but never trust a commentator's math. As Isaac Malcut continues to leave, Medeiros starting to poke and prod a little bit to just see if there's an opportunity to get on by. I don't think he's got one yet, but that 807 cart certainly looking for any opportunity that may present itself.
Yeah, you're going to work, right? You're researching the driver in front of you. You know, he's got his package, you have yours. Am I a little faster here? Can I make some gains here? Do I like my racing line a little more here? Right now, Malcut's still running that racing line. We saw Ben Cooper in the Masters race go defensive early. I was kind of surprised by how defensive he was coming across the line into turn number 1. Not even to the last couple of laps right now. Malcut just running that racing line. You guys got to come and get me if you've got it. I'm going to run the racing line. We'll see what happens. Could be a little different when that white flag flies.
Yeah, certainly could be. Wide line there for Malcut. Almost got into the barriers. That could cost him a little bit. He's going to take a look behind him. Poke to the inside for Medeiros. Early turn in from Malcut. I think trying to be defensive. This could set things up a little bit as they now come through turn 13. Big run here for Medeiros as the white flag flies. Big defense from Malcut, and that's going to be an attempt of a crossover for Medeiros, but Malcut shuts the door.
1.7 seconds back for Tristan Murphy. Is it too far? Is he not close enough to potentially benefit here? Malcut going to be able to come out cleanly still as Medeiros took a look to the inside. They're definitely battling each other right now. As we know, Medeiros took a shot at it by that big move to the inside for Malcut and won. Essentially shut things down. From here on, I'm not sure how much of an opportunity Medeiros would have.
Yeah, I'm not sure either as they get down into turn 10. This is kind of the last overtaking opportunity you would expect, and Isaac Malcut doing an absolutely fantastic job. Up 3 positions on the day. He's going to come to the line and take victory over Medeiros and Saravalli. And Medeiros, I think, crucially, their fastest lap of the race. Look at that gaggle coming across the line. That's the likes of Hauser doing it Pettit.
What I find very interesting is Tristan Murphy closed up quite a bit there on that last lap because they started battling, but we're going to find out kind of what that gap's going to be on the last lap. How close do you need to be to the fight in front of you to potentially benefit? Because this isn't a long lap. It's not like we're at Newcastle Motorsports Park where your laps are a minute and 10 seconds, a minute and 5 seconds. We're talking lap times in the low 40s here, 42, 43. So there's not a lot of overtaking opportunity. You're going to need to know what that delta is going to be for you to still stay in the fight.
Yeah, you really are. But I got to give credit here also. We haven't really talked a whole lot about some of these drivers that are doing double duty or triple duty this weekend. And I can only imagine obviously it's still a kart, so the skills are similar, but to change your mind around a little bit when you're getting into different series here.
I think setups are pretty much the same if you're in the different categories. Let's see your junior driver running the VLR and the GP as well. It's just the horsepower differences. But the double duty, number one, it beats you up quite a bit throughout a weekend, but you are able to go from strength to strength, right, to be the feel for the race. If you can do double duty, I like to do it. I used to do it at the CKNA Grand Nationals and Masters and Legends, only because you want as much track time as you possibly can. Old guys like us get tired, the kids don't. But indeed, you're just going from session to session. You're learning more and more about the racetrack.
Yeah, and that always is good. All right, we move right from Groups A and B to Groups C and D for ROK VLR Junior Vegas Heat Race number 1. Orbezo going to be starting off in pole position with Troy Ferguson to his outside.
One of the well-renowned drivers in the Texas Sprint Racing Series, Nico Orbezo in that Orsalon out in front. Troy Ferguson, one of the up-and-comers on cadet chassis, coming from Southern California. Very well-known in Tri-C. We'll see what he can do. Luca Papascu Bronson Kostukas with Steven Searock rounding out your top 5.
Yeah, Popescu in that number 819 for Rollison Performance Group had a good run when he was with this team throughout the year. Bronson Kostukas, as Jackson said, there on row number 2. Stefan Searock and Gabby Gadera on row number 3. Colt Schlotthauer and Robert Tronka Jr. on row number 4. Benon Abernathy and Jackson Baldus going to round out the top 10. 19 drivers in this heat race, DJ, and they're all, again, first heat race. Don't make mistakes. Come home with a good result. That's what every team owner and parent wants right now.
A good, clean result. Oh, we've got a cart having some problems there in the background, but the race is going to start. It's a good start for Urbezo, and up in front there, it looks like they're going to try to sort themselves out a little bit. I think we've got a little bit of an error on our timing and scoring screen. We'll get that sorted out as quickly as possible, but a good run up front for Nico Urbezo.
You saw that driver at the very start there have a bit of an issue coming onto the front straightaway, like he stalled the machine, got it refired, but indeed getting things rolling here with the drivers up front. 2-3 wide coming through the opening couple of corners. Give yourself lots of room. We saw Melchick get a little wide coming out of there. That last corner touched the wheel to the barriers on the outside. I think it's the first person we've seen actually get into the barriers there aggressively, leveraging that turn 9 complex getting onto the straightaway. Nonetheless, drivers finally setting themselves in to put that first lap in the books.
And that is Melville Dos Santos. Unfortunately, here's a look to the lead already, as I believe one of the Orsolans falling back, the 881 moving to the point there. So some big shuffles early on here, guys, and a couple already dropping out.
Yeah, I don't think our live timing's up right now. We'll get it figured out here for you, because the driver out front is the is that the 881? 881, yeah. So
that might be Troy Ferguson. I'm not entirely sure. But already you see we've got a 5-cart pack out in front. Early breakaway here in our second of the VLR heats. And again, first heat, we talk about that level of reservation, not to play into the puns, not putting your cards on fully on the table just yet, as one of the FAF karting machines tries to make a big move. That's more trouble there, I believe, for Urbezo, just falling back again. But it is all Speed Sense out in front, it looks like, for the time being.
Yeah, a lot of battling here for this early group. You can see the top 5, this front-running quintet pulling away. Another move to the inside here in turn number 8. I think we're going to see a lot of that here this weekend. That pass coming through the 6-7 combination, then into turn number 8 seems to be a really good opportunity to make a move to the inside. You're going to give up a little bit maybe coming to the exit through turn 9 over to turn 10 down the back straightaway, but it's a solid overtaking opportunity that we've seen used multiple times already here this morning.
Yeah, and that's Riker Magro up at the front of the lead of the race in the 881, it looks like. And so he's going to be able to hold on to good position here, trying to be able to hold off a little bit of the gap here from the 814 at the moment.
Jackson Gibson.
Yeah. Yep.
Jackson of the Pacific Northwest, running with Nelliton Race Complex. He's done well on his career on these temporary circuits, so he's right in the middle of the fight there as well. Good move there for the 851, Salamayo to get himself in there as well. Good front-running quintet right now, but up front, Riker Magro in the 881.
Edward Kennedy there having a big look to the inside. He's leading the rest of that pack right now, and it's been, again, a big shuffle for a good chunk of those Orsolans. Kennedy at the point for a little bit here a couple minutes back, but we're going all over the place right now, and already a big breakaway right now from Margot and Gibson.
Yeah, massive gap, top 5 all the way back to 6th and 7th. Those drivers well back here right now as the 5 drivers pulling away, even with the front-running 2 stretching out a little bit finally.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking almost a 2-second gap there, I would argue, and in the world of karting, that is absolutely massive. As here we continue to focus right now, Magro and Gibson, Kennedy holding in behind Salamau, trying to see what they are able to do. Not seeing a poke in line there as they get their way into turn 10.
I believe it's going to be Luca Popescu and Jose Halfin who are running back there in 6th and 7th. We're waiting for our live timing to get up to where it needs to be right now, but I believe as you see further back, a couple of Rawls and Performance Group drivers, yeah, they're coming in a little further back. There's a big move to the inside there. I like seeing that pass as well down into turn number 1. Back to the inside comes Magro in the 881. So aggressive here right now, DJ.
And Kennedy fighting back on it. Edward Kennedy going to be able to take the lead of the race there. That was just a great picking of the pockets of both drivers, and they are positively dancing coming down into 6 and 7.
Man, I like this. They're going at it here early on. Nixon Ellsworth in the number 804. He's the driver of the tail of that front running quintet. Great job for him as well. But up front, and he's just kind of watching what's going on right now. Pick and choose. Be smart. Don't lose this lead group. Stay right with them because they are getting super aggressive. All these drivers over the shoulders, having a look. Where do I go by? Oh, a little slip there. Nice move for Salameo to the inside.
That was really, really heads up. I don't think he anticipated on taking that maneuver until it opened up into the corner, and then it changed things around a little bit, just saw the gap and went for it. As now we've got another move up into the inside. That's the 881 of Kennedy having to defend from McGrew, and now the 851 fighting back on it as well.
Wonder whether or not that 804 of Nixon Ellsworth is ready to make a move here. Kind of been sitting back there, P5, just biding his time. Still a long way to go. 3 minutes plus those 2 laps at the end. So likely 5-6 laps still in this one here. Ellsworth looks over his shoulder, realizes he's got lots of room back to that duo of RPG drivers up front, though. Got a bunch of Orsilon racers in the middle of this one here. This is good stuff. Speed Concepts, of course, as well for Edward Kennedy. JMF Motorsports for Riker Magro. This is good stuff up front. Oh, little contact there.
Oh!
Yes.
That's a big
Salamayo and Kennedy.
2 of our biggest potential contenders here in VLR Junior up into the barrier. Some instant frustration there from Salomeo, and some frustration clearly there from the 888 pilot.
It looked to me, guys, like they were coming out of the 5 corner and just kind of got together, just a little bit of wheel to wheel, and I think it looked like Salamayo was up in the air. And when you're coming into that right-hander and you're not on the ground, you're in trouble. You're going off the racetrack for sure, and that's what we saw there for Salamayo and Kennedy. DJ, 2 drivers in the top 5. What do we talk about? Don't make the mistakes in the opening heat race. They have just changed their entire weekend.
Yeah, it really, really changed it around, and that is not good news for them. And frankly, it's not good news for us as a viewer right now, because that battle that we were keeping an eye on and really watching at this point has now sort of gone to naught. It's really all changed around at this point, and everything has come back. It sounds like here we're going to be able to have a replay to check out exactly what happened here, Rob. So much going on the camera is a little bit hard to diagnose, but that replay incoming here shortly.
Yeah, it's tough kind of the way we're going to see it coming across. You're just going to see those drivers. We're not going to get a good, I think, front shot, more of a side shot. We'll likely see a driver pop up in the air when it does come up for us here. Again, just those 2 drivers fighting it out. This is the tail of it.
While we're getting this set up, boys,
Here we go.
I think here we go.
Yeah, we kind of picked up the very end of it, but you can see just wheel-to-wheel contact. You see Salamayo up in the air when he came back down. You're a passenger at that point.
Yeah, I mean, it's fundamental rule of physics. If you don't have tires touching the ground, you're going to have no control over the car.
You've lost that grip you're looking for.
Exactly.
But that was a chuck of the Hans device there from the 888 Edward Kennedy, and that's knowing the frustration of the gargantuan effort it can take sometimes to get to the front of this field. These guys have fought tooth and nail to even get themselves in this contention, and that boulder, unfortunately, is rolling back to the bottom of the hill for him.
And the ramifications of it, right? That's the key thing. He's like, well, we were running top 5,
right.
Probably going to go for something of first, second, or third. We had the speed. Both those drivers showed they had the speed. Kennedy had led for many laps as well. So to see that happen, understanding what the ramifications are, what it's going to mean for the rest of his weekend, these drivers now have to dig in to get some really good results if they want to find themselves up front on Sunday.
Yeah, as we now check in, this is the 814 and the 819 trying to fight out a little bit more. That's Jackson Gibson. That's second, and Nixon Ellsworth, as they try to sort themselves out a little bit. I'm not sure where the 819, that's Popescu trying to hold in there as well. Again, our timing is scoring a little bit squirrely here, so I believe this is second and third at the moment.
Yeah, the 819, Luca Popescu, a driver we've seen run quite a bit of big races on the West Coast, been running with Rawlson Performance Group this year, had some really good results in those RPG colors, and as we said, running up here inside the top 5. Is that third? We think that's second and third guys right there, the 814
yeah, because
and the 819?
Magro's up in front there in the 881.
Well up front indeed. Yeah, Riker Magro well up front.
Right in front as well, the 914. I believe the Speed Concepts machine could tack an asterisk on that. Again, very hard for us to tell, but one more lap here.
I think Jackson's with Nelliton Race Concepts.
Yes.
There you go. Yeah, the NRG or NRC team there as well. Yeah.
Magro slowed down there. Something happened to Riker, and now we've got he's shaking his fist like something's wrong.
We're going to have a battle here, folks, at the very end. This is first, second, and third. Whoa. Oh, Popescu throws it, tries to make the move to the inside.
His bumper's down. He must have made contact.
Look at this. And I wonder if he has a flat tire. He's super slow here on the racetrack right now. Jackson Gibson's gone to the lead. Gibson to second, Popescu up into third. An issue right now for Riker Magro. And here they come across. Look at, he's just trying to limp his way across the line now.
He's going to come home fourth, it looks like there. Popescu going to be able to hold on.
I think Gibson got the win. Jackson Gibson.
Yeah, Gibson got the win, then Popescu. Then Riker Magro fell down into, it looks like, fourth place.
Yeah, one of the other drivers was able to sneak by at the very end. I wonder if it might have been Halfin, but the bottom line is that leader had a very comfortable lead, Riker Magro, and then all of a sudden just kind of slowed up on the final circuit. Let's have a look at pace. 43.4. It was about a tenth slower, but the bottom line is.
Well, and to your point, Rob, I'm not sure if that was a flat. The push-down bumper definitely looked like it had been pushed.
Activated, yeah.
Activated is
but
the right word.
But the weird deal is, normally when that happens, it'll fall down. You're not going to lose that much speed.
Right.
His last lap was a 46.3. He was 2 seconds slower on the final lap, so it's got to be some kind of a mechanical. Jackson, of course, bolted out of the booth here right now to get an update to see what happened for him. So we'll look for a report coming from Jackson Lambros on that one. But again, you're going to hate that. You got a nice little lead. You're looking good. In the final lap, they just come calling. And again, you can see they were all kind of stacked up behind him. He did whatever he could.
Yeah.
Middle of the racetrack kind of thing, trying to disrupt everybody else. But it wasn't going to happen at the end of the straightaway. And Jackson Gibson got by pretty quickly.
Yeah, and I mean, credit where credit's due to Riker. I mean, trying to defend down into turn 8, running this way. And you could just tell the body language from the driver of that 881 JMF Motorsport cart, just kind of shaking his hands, the exasperated hands up in the air. You've got to feel for Riker.
You wonder whether or not, again, was it contact with somebody else? Did he hit a barrier? It didn't look like he'd bent an axle. It's just there's a lot of things that could have been. Of course, that's what Jackson's here for. He'll be able to bring in some information on what happened right there to Riker Magro, who had done a great job to work his way into the lead and have a couple of kart links out front. Benefit, though, for Jackson Gibson and Luca Popescu. Both those drivers able to come away with a P1 and a P2, put those points on the resume to see kind of where they're going to line up. But I'll tell you this, we've seen all of our VLR Junior drivers with A, B, and CD. We're going to do the same thing right now with our VLR Seniors. A versus B, then C versus D.
And these will flip over the course of the weekend. Obviously, 3 heat races for them, as we talked about, and then the last chance qualifier that will be tomorrow afternoon on Saturday. So the heat later today, heat 2, that will be A and C, and then heat number 3 will be A and D. So a little bit of round robin.
You get a chance to race against everybody, essentially, through the ABCD format. So indeed, a couple of good races there for VLR Junior. We saw a couple of drivers to work their way to the forefront there. We'll expect to see them to remain there throughout the weekend, but it's all about managing these heat races, not making the mistakes, getting away with the results you need. Because you can see the racing that we've had here right now. If you start anywhere, top 3 rows, maybe even top 4 rows, I think you have a chance to win. A little further back, it might be tougher on this racetrack.
Well, I think but it goes back to something that's very interesting, which it seems like in order to be able to get that top 5, that top 3 position, you've got to have a good start. It really looks like if you fall back at the start, really with the exception of 1 or 2 drivers, you're going to be between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah, listen, you fall at the level of this competition, you find yourself outside the top 10, you're really going to have to dig in. But we have seen a couple of examples mid-race when these drivers start running those defensive lines. It's going to bring those other guys back into the fight. I don't think it's over. That's what I want to say. Listen, if you're back in 7th position and let's say you're a couple seconds back, you think maybe it's over. When they start fighting, you just keep digging because eventually you may find yourself right back in the middle of the scrap.
Well, look what just happened in that last race. I mean, we had this incredibly close battle up at the front that was pulling away, and we thought they were the controlling factor. And then the incident there with Kennedy and Salamau, and next thing you know, everything changes around.
That's it.
All right, we're going to take a quick break here and pay the bills. We'll be back to you shortly.
When it comes to innovation on the track, Odenthal Racing Products leads the pack. From the highly popular EasyGP camera mounts to our tough case to GoPro case, racers everywhere trust ORP for strength, reliability, and precision. We're proud to be the #1 engine mount manufacturer in the USA. And with our new Easy Bumper Retainer System, you won't get caught out with a failed bumper bolt again. Odenthal Racing Products. Lead or get left behind.
Welcome back to ROK Vegas. DJ Clark, Rob Haddon, and Jackson Lambros up here in the booth as we get ready for ROK VLR Senior. Groups A and B headed out onto the circuit right now. Jonathan Ports and Chase Hand going to be up at the front of the field. Alexander Vanchev, Jake Drew, and Jesus Vasquez Jr. and Jeremy Fletcher, your top 6. They're going to work their way into the start zone right now, and it's going to be Ports to the right-hand side of your screen. Not the best getaway there from Ports. Maybe a little bit of a challenge here from Chase Hand coming around the outside of turn 1.
Fantastic start for all the drivers here. And like DJ said, not the best start for Ports, but able to hold on to the position coming out of the opening couple of corners. In fact, he brings Alexander Vanchev along with him, the driver who really has been one of the dominant junior drivers in national karting here in 2025, making his move up into the senior categories here at ROK Vegas for Rollison Performance Group. Vanchev puts it into P2. Stacked field in this category. Ports, Vanchev, Hand did not get a great start from the outside of the front row. Tried to run the rim around the outside, but I think he'll, like many drivers we've seen DJ starting on the outside, settle back in probably 4th or 5th position.
Yeah, we'll get an update here as they come across the timing and scoring stripe. It is Ports, Vanchev, Fletcher, Hand, Drew, your top 5. Great start there for Jeremy Fletcher, up 2 positions at the drop of the green flag.
Indeed, watching these drivers navigate the opening couple of laps here. We'll see who gets aggressive early. Jonathan Ports starting on that pole position for Nelliton Race Concepts. We saw a win already for Nelliton in that other heat race there as a big run there for Jackson Gibson. So they've got a good little setup here right now. Aaron Nelliton doing a good job with his team. See the GFC drivers getting a little bit more aggressive further back as well. A lot of guys wanting to get forward. They don't want to see a guy like Ports with open racetrack.
Yeah, and Vanchev, who we were praising there, is now falling all the way back down into 5th position, resetting the field here. Ports, Fletcher, Hand, Drew, Vanchev, Vasquez, and Mrak as they continue to go, now working their way through turn 2, 3, and 4. That little flick that leads onto the back straightaway. Here they go.
Let's just bring a little information here. Jeremy Fletcher was not originally scheduled to race here this weekend. An issue with Zachary Clayman DeMello. Jackson, he's in the Mike Banning karting machine.
And has even just come off of a win at Martinsville. Even ovals aren't stopping this guy. And talking to Jeremy yesterday, he's seemingly talking about how this has been kind of the Moby Dick of his karting career. The last one he seemingly hasn't gotten, but just behind him, the son of legend, Joey Hand, continuing to get to work there as Chase tries to get to work. Not a lot else we can say about Jake Drew as well.
Yeah, listen, Ports, Fletcher, Hand, Drew, Vasquez, Vanchev. This is a stacked front field here right now. We'll say something about Jeremy Fletcher. Again, like you said, he hasn't won this race before, but he did double up at the Super Nationals one year. This guy knows how to run on a straight circuit. I'm telling you right now, Jeremy Fletcher will be one of the drivers we're going to see in the fight for the race win on Sunday, DJ.
Very defensive drive in the background there from Vanchev, just trying to hold off as much as possible as they come through 10, 11, and 12. Getting everything reset here, they come back in and try to get things going. Looking around into turn 1, there's that battle with Drew and Hand trying to sort themselves out. Fletcher trying to close down on Jonathan Ports in front of him. Jesus Vasquez Jr., the one who has the fastest lap of the race at this point.
Ports up front. Let's see what Fletcher does to pull the trigger. Jeremy, of course, a very veteran driver. And the interesting thing, you talked about the fact all the success he's had in the MX5 Cup Series. That's all about momentum, right? It's all about car placement, where I need to be in that lead group, especially coming to the final couple laps. There's that motorsports mind that you have when you're able to understand where you need to place yourself. It's not just about banging out laps and nailing corners and passing guys. A lot of the times it's about race management, where you need to be. Fletcher to the inside, no. Wow, Ports again across the bow. That's when you start worrying about the pushback bumper when you throw it to the inside like that.
Yeah, that was very, very aggressive defense from Jonathan Ports. And credit to Jeremy Fletcher, also came into a series I'm very familiar with the GR Cup North American Series, and did a fantastic job. Big move to the inside there for Chase Hand, able to make it play over Jake Drew. Just that last-minute send Jackson down into turn 8.
And here we go, another look for the lead here as Ports defends to the inside. Fletcher trying to roll all that momentum around the long way around the switchback city that has developed from 10 to 12, and just like that, Jeremy Fletcher gets to the point. The GFCs almost make it 3 abreast.
And Jackson, look where Ports is. From P1 to P5, you get hung out to dry like that. A beautiful pass around the outside for Jeremy Fletcher to move to the lead, and Ports at that point, he's hung out to dry, nowhere to go. Everybody else able to pick to the inside, so he goes from first all the way back to 5th in the matter of about 3 corners. But they're lining up the black and white GFC drivers as well, with Chase Hand, Jake Drew, and Jesus Vasquez. They're all digging in there as well, but a good pass there for Ports. Able to get one back, and that's what you want to see out of a driver once you've lost that. I'm going to go right back on the offensive. Was able to get one back, sliding by Jesus Vasquez.
Yeah, and watch here, wide run for Jake Drew. I wasn't sure if that was going to play out. Maybe carry a little more momentum around the outside, but it didn't. Chase Hand, though, with a good run. He's going to be able to hold in close. With all this battling, Dean Peterson able to hold on to the fastest lap of the race, back down in 10th place.
But look behind him, too. Remember, we kind of had a little bit of a breakaway. I don't know how many guys are in that
I think
lead
you've
group.
got at least 10 carts in contention.
I'm going to say top 10. Jackson, exactly, right down to Dean Peterson. Caleb Gaffera, who's a 7/10 back after that group. He's currently running in the 11th spot for Gaffera. But yeah, we got 10 guys, almost 11 in this lead group.
Ports taking another look down into turn 10. That's becoming a favorite area of Jonathan Ports. I don't think he did get that move done. Yeah, he's up into 3rd place over Jake Drew. There you can see him in that red and white cart. Also keep an eye on Alexander Vanchev. Defensive line there from the teammates as they try to hold out. Jake Drew holding off Jesus Vasquez Jr.
DJ, let's just say this right now. If Ports goes from 1st to 5th and is able to methodically work his way back up to potentially lead or at least get up there, that's going to give him so much confidence.
Yep.
First and foremost, I lead. I've got the pace to be out front. I know I can do that. But even if something happens to me, I'm going to be able to dig my way back forward. From going from where he was to 5th back to 3rd, we'll look at his lap times. He's going to reel these leaders in, especially when they start fighting.
And you can see the hand motions there from Chase Hand saying, keep the lead, I'll keep pushing you. We got to go, though, because Jonathan Ports is charging hard right behind us. And you look further back, the 2 GFCs are under pressure big time. Vanchev is split him, a big defensive move to the inside from Fletcher. But again, lifting off, parking the bus on the apex there, trying to defend from that switchback there, Rob.
And Ports is literally knocking out a couple of tenths a lap. Look at him already back there. He did a 42.718 on the last lap. He now finds himself right back on the bumper of Chase Hand. The Nelton Race Concepts number 905 of Jonathan Ports. Now the fastest driver on the racetrack. He goes purple.
Yeah, he is going to be pushing here at this point. We've seen Ports make some moves down into turn 10. Defensive line there for Jeremy Fletcher up at the lead of the race. Chase Hand trying to be able to see if he can do anything to get it to play. Now as they come through turn 13, set up here. And again, Chase Hand just not as good down into that corner. He just gave the signal to Jonathan Ports, the tap of the back of the head. Yep. Give me the bump. Let's keep going.
Yeah, let's go together, right? That's, I think, what Chase said, hey, listen, don't make a dive bomb move inside me so that Jeremy's able to pull away. If we're going to do this, let's line up together so that we can put Fletcher back into P3. And that's one of the things running P2 when you're looking to make that overtake. You don't want the guy behind you when you try to make the move to throw it in somewhere else and potentially lose both of you guys a lot of ground. Right now, he's hoping for a little help from Jonathan Ports.
It doesn't look like he's getting a whole lot of it, I'll have to tell you that. I don't think these drivers are necessarily playing well with each other. But again, Chase Hand, not the best run coming out of turn 13, and I've got to think it's not going to help him, but it wasn't going to hurt him there as Fletcher gave a wide angle into the corner. 3 laps to go, by the way. And now it looks like Jonathan Ports starting to pile the pressure onto the back of Chase Hand. We focus in on this battle for the top 3.
Yeah, as they kind of stack back up, I'm wondering whether Vasquez from P4 can come up into the fight here as well. You see Vanchev, he's been able to get by Drew, so move Alexander Vanchev back into the 5th position by the shoe Jake Drew. 2 laps remaining. Another little bit of a defensive run coming out of that turn number 9 right-left chicane for Jeremy Fletcher. That's going to bring Hand in, Ports in, and Vasquez, I'm telling you, he'll be wringing his hands here in the final lap. He's trying to find a way by as well. Vasquez trying to get back into it.
White flag in the air, well defended first corner there from Jeremy Fletcher. Chase Hand still nothing doing. Now he's going to take a look to the outside. Jonathan Ports trying to go for a little bit of an over-under. I don't think he quite had the momentum to pull it off going into 6 and 7, and they'll stay single file, but Jesus Vasquez Jr. definitely into the fight now.
It'll be the defensive run potentially for Fletcher coming down the front straightaway. He's got some room, though, been able to develop a gap over the first couple of corners. He does not have to go to defensive. The fight's going to be back for 5th and 6th further back, and indeed Fletcher's going to hold it through turns number 10, 11, and 12. DJ, pretty good run for Jeremy Fletcher.
Very good run for Jeremy Fletcher. He's going to be able to take victory, and a good heads-up defense there is it from Chase Hand. Jake Drew tried to take a little bit of a peek at the last minute on Alexander Vanchev, but that didn't play out. Your top 5, Fletcher, Hand, Ports, Vasquez Jr., Vanchev.
Yeah, behind Fletcher, Hand, and Ports, it was Vasquez. Rather, behind them, it was Vanchev, who was trying to hold off Jake Drew coming out of turn number 9. He was able to do that, not by much at the line, so good finishes by all those drivers. For me, Fletcher kind of controlling the race. Hand looked really good, and Port's coming back from 5th to 3rd. He'll have a lot of confidence going into his next heat race.
Yeah, that's really going to build just a little bit of that, as you said, confidence and Bragiato. I think he's going to be able to walk a little bit with a puffed-out chest and know he's got the speed to be able to do it. So watch out for Jonathan Ports going forward, most certainly.
Yeah, and again, they're all going to, as you know, Jackson, going to head back to the paddock right now. They're going to look over data. It's not just about making the kart better. It's about making the driver better. They've got coaches they're going to go over. Hey, listen, you made a move here. If you would have placed the kart here, you might have been able to got the pass done. Or maybe if you were here, you wouldn't have been all the way back to P5. They're going to really dissect how that race played out.
So again, the question we got to ask ourselves is there places, is there areas of the track where there's still a little bit of reservation? You'd have to imagine yes, because again, only Heat 1, but you're starting to learn so much more about the way you can interact with other guys, who you can coexist with, where you can maybe get a move done. You're starting to see your champion, not your championship, but your opponents slowly start to come into view and how you can work your way around them. VLR Senior Heat 2 out on track, Group 2.
My big takeaway from that, when we talk about where overtakes can happen, was the outside overtake for Jeremy Fletcher. We hadn't seen that yet.
No, we hadn't.
I'm like, whoa, okay, listen, put that one in the quiver, because that's one you're going to be able to pull out of the back pocket at one point. So that was a great pass for Fletcher. He's the first guy we saw make that move over in 10, 11, and 12. We'll see how it plays out throughout the remainder of the week, and everybody kind of getting schooled throughout the day here at Rock Vegas.
Yes, they are. Let's see who is going to be the first up in class, though, for this next group session. Jose Carlos Hernandez and Dylan Dransfeld going to be leading this field around to green. Johnny Stamps, Sergey Camicelli, and Flavio Aquini going to be your top 5.
Caden O'Connor starting in the 6th spot. Carter Knight, Gavin McCune, Josh Feiner, Chris Harrower round out the top 10. 23 drivers in the field. All the way at the back, Nathan Dupuis. Wow, watch for him to work his way forward there, the National Motorsports driver. But we are underway. Green flag flying, and we are ready to race. They'll work their way around the outside. Look at this, 2, almost 3 wide coming through the opening corners. We did have a couple of drivers together further back. There is contact. 2 drivers out. Just, guys, the pinch coming down into turn number 1 the first time. Like we said, there's no runoff. You're not dropping a wheel on the grass on the inside, Jackson. You're in the barriers.
And it's the TSRS 100cc champion, Jose Carlos Hernandez, who will lead them down the back straightaway with Theo Kakati, one of the newer guys we've seen here stateside, really trying to make a statement there in that 903 early breakaway. And a quick recovery here at the stripe. We'll see how quickly they've cleared these cars. But already, we get to the stripe for the first time, and it is getting racy early on here. Here comes Kakani with a little bit of a peek. He's defending now from Jackson.
Yeah, Jackson Menshew there in 3rd place. Caden O'Connor also with a big jump up forward. That's 7 positions for Caden. Talk about making a statement on the opening lap.
I talked about Nate Dupuis. How about plus 13 on the opening circuit? He's got himself up into the 18th spot. He's going to keep digging, trying to get himself forward. So Nate Dupuis trying to recover from whatever issues he had in qualifying. We'll try to update that at lunch for you, so we're able to talk about Nate more in depth this afternoon.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see exactly what that story is as they come down through that S's section. Now it looks like the battle. Jackson Minshew may have a little bit of a move on Kakati down into turn one. Minshew able to get that inside line away. Any fight back here for Kakati. Looks like it's going to be scuppered, and that is a great move from Jackson Minshew in the 994.
And again, this is two drivers here. Let's see whether or not Kakati says, okay, listen, you made the move by me. I wasn't making up any ground on Hernandez. Let's you be the guy at the front of the train here, right? And there's another pass a little bit further back. Johnny Stamps potentially, or who was that going through? We'll figure that out in a second, but the bottom line is Minshew the guy who can now go chase down Hernandez. Kakati was losing a little bit there. We'll see if Minshew has the pace here now in that Speed Concepts race number 994.
Yeah, he'll be pushing his way ahead here as they cross over the line right now, get that reset, and Minshew still trying to be able to fight. Johnny Stamps does set the fastest lap of the race with a 9:09, and I think that what we saw was actually Minshew getting the move back, or Kakati getting the move back on Minshew.
Let me update you real quickly here. An issue with our live time again. The 961 is actually Colin Lloyd. With Velocity Racing on that Sodi cart, right? Our live timing a little bit messed up for us here again. We're looking at, he has us down. We have him down in 28th. So
okay, yeah.
Yeah. So the 961, we're going to update this ourselves, folks. We'll jump on top of this as we did in one of our other previous races. Colin Lloyd, the 961, the driver, working his way forward here now.
Okay, so we'll get that back up and try to get that reset for you again. Sorry about that, as we continue to try to see exactly what can reset around. It's coming down through turn one rather, still side by side through the rest of the field. They come back now down, getting ready for that back straightaway. There is your leader, and there's the rest of the field. Big move down to the inside there.
That was Hernandez there. So we talked about Hernandez in P1. He's back in fourth position right now, maybe fifth for Hernandez. So that was a good move for him, the Orsilon Racing driver. We'll try to see if we can't get a better beat on you here to find out what we got for top fives. But we are seeing drivers make some great moves for sure.
Let's see if we can get a plate for who that is out in front. Looks like one of the Rocket Racing machines, but not entirely sure just who.
Is that Tertulio in the 942?
It could very possibly be. And again, one of the drivers that kind of came into this as a shocker. Alan Issenbard, a big injury.
Yep, that's Tertulio on the 942.
It is indeed Alessandro Tertulio, who was not expected to be in this entry earlier this weekend. DJ, a big injury for his teammate with back pain after practice, forced him to basically go in between his SV Pro entry and now jump into the VLR. So some unexpected double duty, but he's taken to it like a boat to water.
Yeah, he's doing a really great job here, just holding off on the rest of the field right now and trying to be able to keep everything together as best as possible. So real credit here for Alessandro Tertulio jumping in at the last minute. Big credit to him as now they try to get their way back around. Tertulio holding off on that battle for P2 as they just kind of work their way through the corner and keep things together. It's the 950 and the 961. So that's Garzone and Colin Lloyd.
That's it. Sebastian Garzone now up into the second spot. We had to pick this up, of course. You guys were able to get it when I was gone. Tertulio, your leader. So Garzone, another driver who was at IMS last weekend.
Right.
Traveled a USF 2000 car. But Garzone knows how to win on these races as well at the Supernats last year, winning both junior categories. So this is a kid. You put him in a go-kart, as we know, he can win races. So very impressive right now what he runs here.
So a couple guys doing double duty, both between karts and open wheelers. But as we talked about, ADT jumping in, kind of coming out from the SV Pro entry, jumping into this VLR for Alan Issenbard, and has really blown us away. Clearly have something dialed in that Rocket Racing machine, because he has had next to no pressure from the back of this field.
He's a fantastic kart racer. Let's just be real. He was, top 3 in the eKarting News driver rankings here before making this full-time move into car racing. So this is a guy that anytime you put him behind the wheel of a kart, you know he's going to be running up front. He's going to be tough to beat if he starts getting confidence and a good feel in that Rocket Racing Company machine. If he's on his game, he'll be a driver that's going to be very tough to overcome on Sunday.
Yeah, and no matter what kind of machinery you put him in, he is tough, and there is no question about that. Very excited to see what his prospects will be for next year, hearing there could be an announcement coming.
Yeah, well, he tested with HMD Motorsports, DJ, as you know, at the Chris Griffith Memorial Test in the Indy Next Series, and it was one of the star drivers in USF Pro 2000 this year. Great karter. We've been able to watch him grow up for the last couple of years, but he's on that that run to potentially be one step away from IndyCar in 2026.
Yeah, I love to see him there. Meanwhile, battle on for that third place position, or that second place position between Garzon and Colin Lloyd still. That's what we watch on your screen. It does look like Garzon's been able to get just a little bit of breathing room over him, but Garzon also closing down on DeTulio in front.
Yeah, what did we talk about earlier in the day already? When you don't have that guy pushing you from behind, you can fully focus forward. And we'll see whether or not this is going to allow Garzon to close up. Probably 4 more laps remaining here. We're within 1 minute before we get that 2 to go sign. So the bottom line is here, Garzon's trying to dig. Great run for, as we know, Colin Lloyd on that Sody kart running in third. But this is the opportunity for Garzon to show us what he's got. Open racetrack and no challenge from behind.
Yeah, and look at that. I mean, starting to close in a little bit more. As I look at that last lap, it does look like he was able to close in ever so slightly. Actually, not ever so slightly. Call it about a tenth and a half.
Yeah.
So really able to close that gap and put pressure to the back here of Alessandro DeTulio.
So very quickly becoming a 3-horse race. Do not count out that Velocity racing machine of the 361, but it is continuing to become a scrap further back, about 5th to 8th in the battle for the rest. And again, important in a round where we're going to have to drop cars for the LCQ. So getting those positions early on, moving forward while you can. That's what we're seeing with Nate Dogg a little bit further back. But it's very, very crucial here within the top 10.
And Jackson, you said it again. This is, again, even piles more importance on not making a mistake in one of these heat races. When you think about being close to that cut line to have to run in the LCQs, top 30 on points, go straight into the main event. There's your answer for Garzon to the inside. Book it over in turn number 8, Garzon to the lead.
And that was a gutsy move. I don't think DeTulio's quite done yet, as he's going to try to take a look maybe to the outside coming into turn 10. It's not going to play out. They'll have to go back to single file order as they work their way through 10, 11, and 12. But Garzon, your new leader, is they're going to come to the stripe with 2 laps to go.
Oh, right to the bottom, too. They're coming out at turn number 13. He'll defend. Who's going to bring back in? Look at that. Here's 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, all ready to come and be part of it. We'd love to be there. You guys keep fighting, please. No doubt about it. Garzon still with the lead, though. Whether or not DeTulio has anything in rebound, we will see. About a length here coming onto the back straightaway for Sebastian Garzon. Does he run the defensive line? Does he keep it wide? Look over the shoulder? We're going to see a lot of those, DJ. Right at the exit, turn number 9, a quick look over to the shoulder. Do I need to defend? Can I run the racing line? That was a clean one for Garzon.
And I think that's the safe area to make that look. That's the one where you can do that and there's not too much to worry about. Oh, big defense there from Garzon. And now a little bit of pushing and shoving coming down into turn 1 between Lloyd and DeTulio as they try to sort themselves out. They better figure it out quickly, though, because those cars are coming in close from behind.
Garzon got a really good run out of turn number 5 to give him just a little bit of breathing room through 6 and 7, back to 8. Defensive move to the inside for DeTulio. And look who's coming back up into the fight here as well.
Was that Carlos Hernandez?
Yeah, that's Hernandez, Jackson.
Tries to make a look big flick to the outside there, tries to weave it wide, but here we go, the run to the checkered flag. Jose Carlos Hernandez trying to pick up the scraps and pedaling to the front. It looks like, I believe, ADT not able to get there.
Yeah, Garzon.
Just barely, Garzon able to take it.
Yeah, Garzon had the run there. Just not enough for Alessandro DeTulio or Colin Lloyd. A pretty impressive run there, DJ, for Sebastian Garzon to come away with a win to start the weekend.
Yeah, and what a heady drive.
Yeah.
I mean, very, very heads up. Rob, you talked about it earlier on. Patience and respect being kind of the key words and the hallmarks of the day, but great patience there from Sebastian Garzon to be able to keep that together, know when to make that move, and pounce when it was presented to him.
And he did defend a couple of times, not on the last lap. He had that look. He had just enough of a gap. Whatever he was doing, he had enough of a gap. Colin Lloyd there puts the pressure on DeTulio as well, but being able to get out of turn number 9 and having that length and a half, didn't have to defend, gave him the really nice run through turn number 10, 11, and 12. And again, a very impressive run for Garzon and the Orsalon Racing camp to come away with another one. Let's put it this way. Orsalon Racing, we've been talking about them a lot, Jackson. Whatever they got dialed in, they are working here this weekend.
Been very dominant already in single track pace. 4 pole positions yesterday and have immediately converted that into on-track results for wheel-to-wheel heats. And we'll see if they can do that coming up here as we get set for more cadet action. It's the ROK Micros coming up.
Yeah, ROK Micro coming at you. We are going to go to an interview real quick here. Going to take you away. We were able to catch it up with Mingun Ju down on pit lane yesterday.
The 336 behind me of Mingun Ju, and one of the lesser-known drivers, and that disappoints me because I don't think anyone works as hard in this RPG garage as you. But also, we talk about a phenomenal recovery you've had after a big crash in summer. Let me get the big question out of the way. How's that arm feeling?
It feels great right now. It's fully flexible, has strengths. Yeah, we've been doing some testing at Pass Acre with Rollison. Yeah, from the weekend we started to build up. It was really good. So full strengths. Really good, not feel soreness. So,
you joined us earlier this year for Florida Winter Tour. You've gone and done national events all around the country. What is the appeal for ROK Vegas? Why is this a race you keep coming back to?
Well, it's one of the biggest races of the year, right? And also, I mean, it's a very cool class, the new SV Pro. So I want to definitely have a try. And also, it's just the timing. 3 months after the crash, we're recovering. It's really good. Yeah, I mean, I want to give a try how much I can do. And then the VLR Masters, obviously, the first time I ever tried this in the Master class. I just want to see how competitive I am there. So,
what's been the first sample of the SV Pro? Again, I know that's a very new kind of engine for everybody, and I know you've driven plenty of engines of that size, but again, very new to everybody. Talk to me about your first impressions of the SV.
Very easy out of box to drive. It feels like very smooth. Has great power. Power is right there. Similar to X30, I would say. I mean, I've been driven OKN before. ROK GP, I think has a little bit more bottom end than the others, very smooth. So yeah, I mean, having lots of fun with it. Really good. I really like this package.
Not a lot of guys would be even thinking of double duty with where you're at with the hand, but it's so great to see you back in the paddock. Best of luck to you this weekend.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Mingun Ju.
Getting ready for ROK Micro. Rob Howden stepped out for a brief moment. It's DJ Clark and Jackson Lambrose up here in the booth bringing you the action.
Really good catching up with Mingun Ju yesterday. Again, great to see him back on track. A guy we saw a ton earlier this year at Florida Winter Tour, consistently doing double duty. But again, even with that bandaged up arm is continuing to race. Go follow him on Instagram, by the way. Regular photographer for Formula One here in the States, and kind of surprised himself with the ability to do double duty. So in both VLR Senior and SV Pro, trying to be picture perfect. But it'll be Alvaro Medeiros on pole alongside Lennox Lockhart on the front row for our first of the micros. And DJ, it's little engines, little drivers. It's big action though.
Oh, it's great action, and this is going to be another one of those series where the draft is really going to come into play with that lesser horsepower and, frankly, lesser weight from these drivers. Right. But it is going to be Alvaro Medeiros, Lennox Lockhart, Liam Francisco, Dutch Westbrook, and Jack Katowski leading us around to the green flag. Medeiros and Lockhart in the front of the field there. Medeiros in that green and white machine, Lockhart in the black and white. Here they come into the start zone, and we are racing once again. There's that little bit of a look from behind from Medeiros. Oh, big lose out there for Lockhart. Not a good start. I think Dutch Westbrook has been able to take that second position away.
Front, that inside line going into turn one really showing the pace at the start. You can see Lennox Lockhart and that kind of chrome sody already dropping back. That's advanced. Katowski, Lockhart, and others to the front. There's Lennox in that there's Jack Katowski, the 92. The regular at MCC just went overseas and kicked some butt in Cadet Internationals and is really putting the pressure on early. Here's a swing back, though. The 14, I believe, Lennox Lockhart trying to get his way back into the picture. And this is immediately a sigh of relief for Alvaro Medeiros, who has no pressure behind him.
Yeah, Medeiros is going to be holding on. No, it's Dutch Westbrook up at the front of the field. Medeiros, Katowski, Axel Tibbs, Chaveri, Lennox Lockhart's been shuffled down to 6th position here. Dutch Westbrook having a commanding place but at the front of the field, but Medeiros trying to close him in. But Katowski, the one that's starting to look a little bit more aggressive here. Here as they come down into turn 6 and 7, now lining up for 8. That's Lockhart taking a a big move up into the inside there on Samuel Treveri, and Lockhart looks like he's not able to get that position away.
Open the door for Liam Francisco as he tried to work his way through. Couple karts taking some looks there into turn number 10. And again, starting to dub this place as Switchback City because so many overtakes have been set up already in this run to the line. And with how much we constantly see wheel-to-wheel action in micro and mini, you expect it. Turn 1 has surprised us in that late lunge from Alvaro. Gets him right back to the point. Jack Katowski trying to go with him, and he does.
And that's a good heads up there for him to be able to hold on to that. But now he's going to have to see what he can do. You can see Medeiros kind of wheeling that cart a little bit more forward. Katowski, as you said, Jackson, able to hold on to that position. And credit here to Westbrook of just holding on. It's Westbrook, then Katowski. But credit there to them, Axel Tibbs trying to close in from behind from P4.
Westbrook now back to the point in that magic clearing. Medeiros out in front. You got Katowski just behind in that Burrell looking to pick up any of the scraps. And just a little bit further back, you see Axel Tibbs jamming that helmet against the wheel there, trying to maximize that straight line speed down the front straightaway. He wants to be a part of this freight train very quickly. Another peek to the inside from Katowski. Now our third leader looked like a little bit of contact further back there from Westbrook and Medeiros.
Yeah, but Axel Tibbs, courtesy of that battle, is now fully involved in the scrap, and they're going to run all the way back down to around Leandro Ramirez in about 8th place. Aiden Go may be there in as well. Now here comes a move from the time of Medeiros, thinking about to the inside there of Katowski. Not going to play out. He'll fall back into line. They continue to try to push themselves ahead down through Switchback City. I like that. I'm stealing that, by the way.
No problem.
And as they go, here they're going to come across the line. It is going to be Katowski up to the front, but not for long as Medeiros goes for the move.
And Westbrook trying to go with him, tries to shut the door, but it's still open on the inside. Now Katowski slots in at third. That's a big ship. Further back, I believe Liam Francisco trying to get into the mix as well. But again, almost 10 carts in this main freight train. Further backside, yellow flag go out. Think we might have had one cart off, but hopefully everybody okay. That's Lennox Lockhart with the helmet, and that is one of our Ruby helmets, and at least 3 carts collected there. We'll try and get plates for you in a little bit to see who got collected, but hopefully everybody okay. 2.5 minutes to go here in our ROK Micro Heat.
Yeah, it looks like a couple of them may have been able to get refired and restarted back around Medeiros up at the front right now, but Katowski looks very, very threatening. Unlike Medeiros, doesn't send a big move up into the inside. So Westbrook, a little bit more likely to just hold into position here. Lennox Lockhart, great recovery drive back up into 4th.
So Axel Tibbs, you just see further back. I believe that's a GFC. You see him sitting just a little bit further back, trying to get into the picture. Here's a look to the inside from Westbrook. We'll get that position. Katowski goes with him, but just like that, DJ, Lennox Lockhart in that 14 right in the picture, gives a little bit of a shove as well to Dutch, tries to get him to the point as well, and they are consistently finding new ways to reshuffle this top 4.
Yeah, they're just continually moving and shaking this way and that as they're going to come across the line once more. About 1 minute and 15 seconds left to go. Westbrook, Medeiros, Katowski, Lockhart, and Tibbs, your top 5. Throw Liam Francisco into that mix as well, as indeed Francisco sends a move up into the inside there of Axel Tibbs, but it doesn't play off.
And all of a sudden, Lennox Lockhart finds his way back onto the podium after getting chewed up on that start on the outside line. Some good breathing room you see now from Dutch Westbrook, but with a little bit of a shove here from Katowski to Medeiros, they're going to be able to get back into this mix almost immediately. It absolutely does go back to Liam Francisco. By the way, you see a little bit of a defense there from Axel saying, not just yet. If we all work together, we can all kind of get a chance here. There's only 30 seconds left, but we've seen numerous times in this division, anything can happen when the twin sticks come out.
3 laps to go. Big move to the inside there for Katowski up to the inside of Medeiros. That's going to be P2 for Jack Katowski in that number 92. Lennox Lockhart still looking on, hopefully, maybe thinking about a move here on Medeiros, losing a little bit of track position. Axel Tibbs, Liam Francisco losing a little bit to it. Up front, though, it is Dutch Westbrook in the 33 controlling this field.
Pretty much your normal crowd that we've expected out in front. Some of the guys we've seen in mini and micro in the SCUSA Pro Tour, a handful of other national events have really flexed their muscle. Couple of cast members missing, but very much the young future of karting right here on track. And Dutch Westbrook, who was one of your top contenders in the Florida Winter Tour, continuing to lead them to the point and to the Twin Sticks.
Twin Sticks out, 2 laps to go. Westbrook holds on to that lead over Katowski. Medeiros holding in behind. I'm watching Lennox Lockhart in that 4th position, waiting for Lockhart to try to get a move. But I don't see it quite yet. Could we see a sneak attack here down into turn 8? Wide run defensive line from Westbrook. He wants to hold on to that leading position.
Here comes Medeiros, though. What a switchback. Could get a twofer here, as that is, I believe, Katowski massively off pace. It's actually Medeiros still in the lead. A big look to the inside. Lennox Lockhart, a nuclear move, goes from 4th to the point.
Brilliant move there from Lennox Lockhart to make that play. Lockhart, though, is going to have to try to hold out as he's lost down into 3rd, make it 4th position, side by side, wheel-to-wheel contact there between Medeiros and Katowski.
Continuing to throw the side pod in here, and all of a sudden Liam Francisco has been waiting to join the party the last couple of laps. He'll get an opportunity. Here comes Medeiros to the inside. Katowski will drop back, and all of a sudden Liam Francisco finds himself in that P2 spot. Big shove to the inside, tries to go middle. Katowski trying to set up that exact same move Lennox did a lap ago. Back and forth we go, and this will be a prime overtaking opportunity in the run into turn 10. You see everybody going to the inside, trying to defend. Francisco trying to run the high line. Tibbs actually trying to do that as well. But oh my goodness, Alvaro Medeiros looking to lead all of them to the line.
And Medeiros is going to come across and take victory over Katowski, and it's going to be Lennox Lockhart with the aggression, elbows out at the end to be able to hold on to that. Somebody headbanging there as they came across the line. Love that little bit of celebration from them. But what a great run there for Liam Francisco. Just waited, held back as much as possible, and pounced when the opportunity came.
You get to the white flag and you genuinely get the feeling that anybody in that top 5 or 6 pack has a shot of winning that race. And Rob Howden, if that's not micro racing, I don't know what is.
Listen, I love it. You know, you love watching the pro guys, but these young drivers always put an absolute show on. Shout out to Liam Francisco. You got to remember his cousin Jaden won the ROK Super Final over at South Garda, so they're having a pretty good little time in ROK action, but a great job there for Liam. I let you guys handle that one, step back and just kind of watched it all play out. Jack Katowski looked really good as well. He was kind of making some moves there. Again, I always, at the start of a weekend, I kind of watch the drivers, where they make moves. How do they look really comfortable? I think Jack Katowski looks really strong here as well.
Well, it's just where you're carrying that momentum, and you see so many guys defending, going to that left wall into turn number 8. Katowski gets that light bulb over the head, swings it wide, gets that big switchback into the longest straightaway on the track.
That's it.
You need that galaxy brain thinking at this age of racing, and you saw it as well with Lennox. A lot of guys finding momentum in places a lot of kids haven't quite found it yet.
And there's a level of maturity when the drivers get into that lead group and they understand it's all about kind of do that cycling reference of that peloton. You want to drop the guy off the back of the peloton. It's 5, it's 4, it's 3. If you're in second and the guy pushing away, you're going to be able to fight over the last couple of laps. I think we'll see that later on this weekend. But all those drivers up front there look so good. It was a great start for the drivers in micro.
Yeah, it was really pretty fantastic. All right, race fans, you've seen a lot of action out on track. We're going to send you on a lap around the track with Teo Salamau right now. Yeah. as we come back, getting ready for the final 2 heats of the morning. It'll be ROK Shifter Masters and Super Masters, and then the special one that everybody's been talking about, of course, that's ROK SV Pro. Then we will all go take a little merry lunch break, and we will be back at about 2:10 with you here on stream. So again, we'll be back at 2:10 when we do take that little bit of a break, about an hour away from the cameras and from the microphones. But yeah, we are really seeing some good racing out here this weekend, Rob. I'm really, really impressed. Yes, we've had a couple of, obviously, the scary incident that we saw before, but for the most part, a lot of respectful racing, a lot of really heads-up racing, and a lot of inviting racing with the way that this track has been laid out.
Yeah, I think anytime an organizer lays a track out on a temporary circuit, you're hoping it's going to give you the results you want. You're never sure until drivers actually get out there and start going wheel to wheel. I'm sure Mike Burrell and everybody from ROK Cup USA will be happy now because there's a number of overtaking opportunities. It's a shorter, tighter track in terms of the lengthwise. But man, a lot of wide open corners, some high speed corners as we know. But we saw passing in 3, maybe 4 corners there already. So no, they wait till the big dogs come out and show you they can pass in every corner. So what we've seen so far bodes really well for what we're going to see come Sunday.
And speaking of what we've got coming up, like I said, ROK Shifter Masters and Super Masters headed out onto the track. Patrick O'Neill going to be lining up in pole position. Corey Matthews to his outside. Then it'll be Kevin Woods, Morn Van Tack, Ryan Coberly, and Luis Quinos in your top 6, your top 3 rows. These shifters going to be a lot of fun to see.
Yeah, I know when David Cole and I sat down to do our ECAN Outlet preview podcast, we saw Patrick O'Neill and Kevin Woods, and these are 2 guys that run primarily up at Sonoma Raceway, but they're also top national level guys. I look for them to be battling it out wheel to wheel. I love the fact that Corey Matthews right in there. The VTM guys have brought a lot of guys over. That's Morn Von Tock. I think he's responsible for probably 6 entries on the grid who are all underneath his tent. So Morn doing a great job bringing people out here. But yeah, Patrick O'Neill, Kevin Woods, the CRG drivers, always super fast. We'll see how it all plays out. And I want to see if Corey Matthews gets off the line. And we'll see what it looks like from the outside of the front row. Obviously, the pole, the place to be. Outside line, maybe not quite so much.
Yeah, and that's a little similar to what we saw at Orlando during Florida Winter Tours. That outside line just really suboptimal, frankly.
Yeah.
But drivers making it work to the inside, I'll have to say. There we have the green flag, visors down. Look up to the flag stand. Nothing better than a standing start as we get ready to go racing here for Masters. Oh, bad start there for O'Neill and for Matthews, and that's going to be a big move to the outside for O'Neill.
I think it was O'Neill that couldn't come off from the inside. Yeah, Patrick O'Neill had some trouble, just did not leave the line quick enough, and that is allowed, I believe. Who is that in the lead right now?
Kevin Woods, I believe.
Is it Woods?
It is 94.
Woods. Yeah, good call.
Yep, Woods not running the normal CRG livery that you would see. He's running, I believe, for Ron White Racing. We'll see what's going on with that. I'll stop by at lunchtime to have a look at that. But a good start for Kevin Woods from the inside of a row number 2. He goes into the lead. Everybody else scrapping here early on. But, man, a little bit of a surprising no start there for Patrick O'Neill. Not a mistake that Patrick would normally make.
Already trying to get back to work here with a little bit of a peek to the inside of Ryan Coberly there in that 67. Been a really good battle further back as well. Luis Quinones and Hunter Hagenbuch. That's actually your full-on Masters. Your Super Masters have actually been showing the pace. Old guys ruling here in the Masters out in front, and it has been very shockingly close out the front row. Less than 100th of a second across your front row yesterday in qualifying. And here we go, another look to the inside. Kevin Woods making moves.
I think that's O'Neill, right? That's O'Neill. Maybe he fell back a couple spots, able to get by Ryan Coberly there, so move Patrick O'Neill up another spot. But 94 of Woods up into second. So did O'Neill actually move his way forward? We're seeing live timing. It says Patrick O'Neill P1, Kevin Woods in second.
That's why I'm a little confused.
I think
we may be having a little bit of problems with our live timing, so we'll try to get onto that. We're going to try to get an ID on the plate here exactly as they come through these corners. I can't tell if that's No, I think it's right. I think it is
O'Neill's up front.
It is O'Neill. Okay. Yeah, it's O'Neill, Woods, Coberly, Van Tock, and Corey Matthews, who were top 5.
So indeed an issue for the pole sitter, but O'Neill is up front as we had said. So underway. Down the front straightaway. Let's put another lap in the books here. Long way to go in this one.
Look like Warren Van Tack making a move there to the inside to clear Ryan Corbally. So battle here at the bottom step of the podium, DJ.
Yes, that's what it is. All right, so Van Tack doing a good job, just moving his way forward. And this is, again, one of those things that you want to just piece by piece get position after position and build that momentum as much as possible.
I got to go talk to Ron White. What's with these different livery up front messing us up here right now? One's on full CRG livery. And then one just with the black side pods. I'll go have a talk with Ron. We'll get this dialed in lunchtime.
All right, there we go. Just to make things a little bit more easy on us right now.
Help us out, exactly.
Yeah, we got a lot of carts to keep in mind here. We got to make it as easy as possible. And there's Morten Van Tack doing a good job up into third. Kevin Woods, though, holding on to the fastest lap of the race, not by a slim margin either. That's almost 0.2 of a second.
Great lap there for Kevin Woods. Incredibly strong coming out of the gate. You see the lead there. Patrick O'Neill putting in the laps early on, as we said in this run, though. Long way to go. Still one more race left on the docket, and we've been kind of anxiously waiting for the ROK SV Pro category to come on out here. And Jackson, as you had said, we're going to pack this racetrack with carts for this one here.
Yeah, that's going to be frenetic.
It's for sure one of the most anticipated. You can expect those fence lines to get filled up once we see these carts taking the track. Easily our biggest field. And again, what's really, really excited me is not just how tight-knit this field is, but the engines have seemed very, very close. Not a lot of parity, and a lot of guys really, really happy with the new engines they got after warm-up, even though, you know, again, daily engine raffles, brand new engine for a lot of these guys, very rarely seeing them carried over. The one exception for that will be Jake Drew. We'll get more into that in a little bit, though. Things continuing to spice up. Big look to the inside there, Kevin Woods.
Yeah, that was late there, DJ. I thought he was going to throw it in there completely.
I thought he was as well, but Woods clearly, I mean, Rob, you mentioned it when we were watching the earlier shifters in the Shifter Pro category, that these carts, a little bit less momentum, more of a full send from these guys, and that's what we're seeing here out of Kevin Woods.
One of the big things is that because you have the gear, you can knock down another gear. You mentioned diamonding off a corner. Because you got so much, you can throw it in. If you try to, a lot of times with big horsepower carts like this, the shifters, when you're trying to modulate the power, as Kevin Woods makes the move finally to the inside of Patrick O'Neill to take the lead, the cart starts to buck a little bit. It's much easier to drive. Is O'Neill going to go back by him? Oh,
yes,
yeah,
he
the
is.
Sonoma boys. He throws it in there.
Oh, but shuts the door. Thought about the crossback, not able to get it done, and they're just going to keep scrapping. Welcome to the fight, Morten Van Tack.
So you'd rather throw it deep into the corner, get it rotated, and go fully back to power. You're not trying to modulate the throttle where it starts to kind of hop a little bit. If it's on power fully, you'll like it. And that's what makes those passes work so well. You throw it into the apex, get it turned, fully back on power, and come on out of the corner.
Let me throw something at you then as well, Rob. Is that one of the main difficulties of learning, going up from the fixed speeds, going up to shifter? Or, I mean, it's a whole different thing. You're learning shifting points. You're learning what your optimum gears are on entry and exit. You're taking a hand off the wheel. That alone is a challenge.
And there's a lot to it, right? There's also a massive amount of braking that you wouldn't otherwise have, right? You're not going to roll in corner speed in. With a shifter, because you've got brakes on the rear and the front, you're going to be able to stop on a dime. So that's something you have to deal with, is understanding how much braking, it's such a short amount of braking, and then letting the car roll back to the corner before you get back on power. There's a lot to it coming from single speed going to shifters.
All right, well, these drivers, specifically Patrick O'Neill, Kevin Woods, and Morten Van Tack, doing a great job of going up to these shifters. A real three-cart breakaway here from Ryan Coberly. Absolutely dominant up at the front of this field are these three drivers. And I've got a sneaking suspicion we're not done seeing the battling between O'Neill and Woods. And when that happens, Van Tack going to be right there to pounce.
He was there for that second. When they started battling back and forth, Morten got right up there with them. Wasn't able to fully capitalize. And I don't think he has quite the outright pace right now. He's about a little over 0.2 of a second off of the pace being laid down by Kevin Woods. He just went purple again with a 40.700. In fact, was over a tenth quicker than Patrick O'Neill's fast time. Last time by, it was actually O'Neill who was the fastest driver, but it is Woods as the quickest driver on the racetrack. You got to go back another tenth or two to Morten Van Tack. So he's losing a little bit here and there, but again, last time by a 48.38, the fastest for O'Neill.
Oh, a little bit of a half-hearted look there from Kevin Woods, maybe just testing the waters for a potential move. Have to see what he does here as they come back now through turn 13. It looks like there that O'Neal was just able to get a much better run off of turn 12, carry that momentum through turn 13 and keep things together.
Yeah, and DJ, Kevin Woods is just trying to see if he can't force Patrick to make a little bit of a mistake, right? I'll throw it deep up the inside of turn number 10, maybe 11, and maybe you'll check up. Maybe you'll just miss the apex a bit. Maybe you'll miss a gear change, whatever it may be. You got to keep the pressure on. Two veteran drivers. They race against each other quite a lot up at Sonoma Raceway. We've seen them win national. Both these drivers have won national races in the Masters category here in Gearbox Racing. So they're both pushing each other very hard. Again, this is only the opening heat race of the three that they're going to run. So O'Neal and Woods getting now down. In fact, a great lap there for O'Neal of 40.661. Von Tock, though, matching. He was actually quicker than Woods on that last lap.
Good run there for Von Tock. Let's see if he's able to keep it up. 3 laps to go at the line. It does look like Kevin Woods maybe just losing a little bit of ground here to Patrick O'Neal. Not sure if that's going to keep up or if he's going to be able to gain back on him here. Von Tock visually looks like he's losing ground, but as you said, he was right there on time as they come down through Switchback City.
I think right now what we're seeing is more consistency out of O'Neal, right? We've seen some good laps out of Kevin Woods, but O'Neal's just knocking him out here right now. Last time by, he was quicker by 0.2 of a second than both Woods and Von Tock. They're falling off a little bit right now. O'Neal's staying within those couple of tenths of a second. His fastest with a 40.661, just at a 40.805. Where the others are just falling off a little and don't have that consistency, O'Neal's knocking him out here right now. That's why he has an 0.8 of a second lead.
Yeah, and consistency is the key. That is the way to get around a circuit such as this and just absolutely dominate a race. Now down through 10, 11, and 12. Bring those carts back on through. And there is the white flag in the air. 1 lap to go for Patrick O'Neal.
Final circuit here for the drivers in the ROK Shifter Master and Super Masters categories. These classes brought to you by Speed Concepts Racing and VTM Engines. And again, VTM, Ford Montauk, as I said, if you look down the list, it's got what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drivers from the VTM stable. He has a number of drivers coming to these major events as well. He's running P3 himself on the racetrack tomorrow. And again, you can see Kevin Woods maybe putting a bit of pressure, trying to close up a little bit here on the final lap, but flawless thus far for Patrick O'Neal. And again, he will roll out of the final corner. Checkered flag will go. Patrick will a little wave in the air. He wins by just over a half a second. O'Neal, Woods, Von Tock, Coberly, and Hagenbuch end up rounding out your top 5.
And again, I want to go back to what you said earlier, Jackson. It's all the Supermasters that were up at the front of this. I mean, how cool is that?
When you get this level of experience, again, a lot of guys bringing in people within their community to race, right, Rob? So we see a lot of guys coming together as a group. Some of the standard masters, I suppose, not having that level of connection. But again, Patrick O'Neal, Kevin Woods racing together forever, and that level of, 1, knowledge, years of knowledge, and 2, knowledge of racing with each other. That's helped them get to the front.
I think when you get into the Masters categories of racing, Super Masters as well, Legends and CKNA I'm talking about, there's a camaraderie there, right? Hey, listen, hey, you want to go do Rock Vegas? Yeah, I'll do it. Okay, you do it. We'll all go. It ends up being that pack mentality where, hey, well, okay, we're all going to go do this, and then they call their friends, and like Scott Falcone did for VLR, called up all the buddies and said, hey, listen, let's make this happen. Let's all go race this deal, and all of a sudden, you got 20 of them as opposed to maybe 5 or 6. So great to see the Super Masters program here this weekend. It's paid off, and man, they're making it happen on the racetrack as well.
They certainly are. All right, let's turn our attention to, dare I say, the main attraction, the one that we've maybe just at least been most excited about, and that is ROK SV Pro. Jackson, you kind of hinted at this earlier, doing the engine swaps, the parity across the board. Jake Drew, though, in the raffle, got the same engine.
Very lucky, and that's exactly what he's wanted with the 329. I asked him this morning, hey, you were phenomenal on pace. Do you think there was maybe a little bit of luck in getting a good one yesterday? And he was like, genuinely, I've driven a couple of them before alongside Blake Nash. This feels pretty close to everything we've driven. Not a lot of parity, engine to engine. ROK guys have done a really, really good job in making each engine feel consistent.
Well, that's the key. When you have a spec program like this, they're all built by the manufacturer and their race team as well. You're going to have that parity that you want to be able to make sure every engine's essentially exactly the same. I love the fact that they're swapping at the end of the day. No one's ever going to say, I had a good engine or I didn't have a good engine. You're going to get that next one. All I know for sure is that you look at the people that are in the top 10 here, top 15, keep going down. There are some major players in this category here. Jake Drew and Gianluca Savaglio up front, Alessandro DiTullio, Caden McQueen. Dean Peterson's been racing over in Europe all year, working with Christian Brooks. Chase Gassie at lead right there as well. Stacked field here at SV Pro.
Yeah, very, very stacked as it is going to be Drew and Savaglio lining us up into the front row here, bringing it in, and the green flag is in the air. We are racing, and there's a couple of movements there from behind as drivers try to sort themselves out. I think that was a big move from Caden McQueen. Wide ride run, and Dust getting kicked up down into turn one with an absolute plethora of cars. Big crash into the outside.
I was going to say Chase Hand being one of them. DiTullio is one as well. A couple of major players involved. Alessandro DiTullio with a bent axle. I literally held my breath as they came through one over to that 2-3 combination. It did not play out well for a couple of players that we expected to be in the fight. Chase Hand and Alessandro DiTullio both collected in the instant coming out. Turn number 3 and 4.
Well, the one good thing to come out of that for Caden McQueen is he's worked his way up into second right now. Going to get that reshuffle on the timing and scoring and screen right now. Dean Peterson up into this group of 4, and there is the 300 out of it as things stand. That's one of the FAFL machines. Yeah.
Theo Salaveria. So Theo Salaveria out as well. Again, listen, we haven't seen it happen a lot with some of the other categories, but the bottom line is here, these are the big dogs. They're going to race hard. They're going to fight for every position. Doesn't take much, guys, for that wheel to wheel, touch a wheel, you go off, and then the tight confines of a corner with barriers on both sides like 3 and 4, you're going to get taken out.
Yeah, exactly. All right. 4-car massive breakaway here at this point as a result of that contact further back in the field. Drew, McQueen, Savaglio, and Peterson running away from it. It does look like Rousseau and Mossman not too far behind, though.
Yeah, and again, I think a lot of these guys taking full advantage of this. Blake Nash goes up into 7th. Diego Ramos, who I think started 16th, he's up into the 8th spot already. Yeah, he's +8. Naomi Garcia up +9. So a lot of them taking full advantage of the issues there. Chase Gassie at lead, running in 10th. Turner Brown in 11th. Daniel Perez, Andrew Hamill, all those drivers getting a bunch of spots to get themselves inside the top 15. But those front-running 4 drivers, Drew, McQueen, Savaglio, and Peterson, loving the opportunity to get away by themselves.
Yeah, and really getting away from the getting away group is Jake Drew here. Set the fastest lap of the race the last time of asking. And Savaglio right now in a battle with McQueen and Peterson. That looks to be the fight here for P2. Jake Drew in an island unto himself.
Yeah, listen, when you put the car on the pole, then you're able to pull away in the main. You start beating down the rest of your competition. We talk about momentum. You talk about confidence. You talk about bravado a little bit as well. Hey, listen, I want to walk away with this. I've already got to win. I've already, say the end's the day with 2 heat races. People know they're chasing Jake Drew. That's the big thing right now. You're trying to make a statement in the opening heat race, and Jake's doing that right now on that Formula Works GFC.
Good move there by Caden McQueen to move up into second place. Going to put Savaglio down, and now Dean Peterson trying to do the same to him, and he does. That's a double demotion there for Savaglio. Not great, but here comes the fight back. We said it might happen down through those corners. That's exactly what went down, Jackson.
Really, really good moves there. And again, Savaglio really showing us his pace early on, and again, wastes no time trying to get that move back, and that has diluted this pack significantly, all the way back to about Diego Ramos in that 313 Borrell. So all of a sudden, not everybody really finding a dance partner at this point, Rob.
Yeah, I think the way things have played out with a couple passes here and there, we already know the incident in the opening lap broke things up a bit, but you see Drew pulling away. Savaglio did the best thing he could to get right back by Peterson. I like the fact they went right back at him over in turn number 5. Just didn't settle in, throw it to the inside, and try to get yourself back up to P3. Otherwise, you can see things have stretched out here on the top 10. Not so much outside the top 15. We're seeing a lot of racing still. But the guys up front right now have been able to give themselves a bit more breathing room early in this run. Still a lot of laps to go, probably 7-8 laps potentially still remaining here. But otherwise, a number of drivers likely understanding, guys, that after that initial wreck that they were able to get through, they're going to get the position improvements they were already wanting just based on attrition.
Exactly. We check back farther in the field right now. This is the battle for about 6th position with Rousseau and Ramos. Going to check back up around a little farther up in the field. This is that 4th place battle. It does look like I think Frankie Mossman's been able to catch up to this fight a little bit more. Yeah, he's right up there with them, so that's the battle for P2.
DJ, let's hit on a couple of names we haven't talked about yet. Anytime you talk national karting, you're talking Ryan Norberg, you're talking Paulie Massimino. They're back in 15th and 14th respectively right now. Norberg, I don't know what happened to Ryan. Obviously, with the GFC, his debut here this weekend with Gary Carlton's program, plus 15th. So he started 30th. I don't know what happened for Ryan to start 30th. Jackson, do you have any insight?
Talked to him this morning and just frustrated, thought he maybe got one of the bad batches and something he's had maybe a little bit of teething issues with. Clearly has been able to move forward here as he's gotten himself into the top 20. But I mean, you look at Paulie Massimino as well, who has just been white hot in 2025. Maybe one of the reasons why he doesn't have that pace, this isn't Trackhouse Motorplex, but has still been very, very strong on these kinds of circuits.
Jackson, he did start 7th, so thinking about where DeTulio and Hand was, I think he may have been in that
Possibly.
Instant. We didn't get a chance to see a replay on that. Obviously happened. All we saw was a couple of drivers. He may have got checked up there because he started 7th. He went back to 14th. So Massimino obviously going in a different direction from Ryan Norberg, but those two drivers are almost hooked up right now. Norberg about 0.6 of a second behind Massimino. Last time by, it looks like when they come by the stripe right now, both drivers 41.18, 41.21. So Massimino a little quicker than Norberg right now.
Yeah, just trying to hold on to everything. We check this battle. That's the 399 cart. That's 3rd place. Yeah, that's Savaglio. I was looking farther down in the order and it didn't check up at the top, but that's Savaglio right now. Caden McQueen starting to break away a little bit from the rest of them, but Savaglio doing a good job to hold on.
Jackson?
Yeah, guys, getting really quickly back to Ryan Norberg. Another thing that really frustrated him this morning is just how little front end grip. Just said the car always wanted to push around. And Rob, I don't know how much you can kind of share with these street circuits. I know in the past we've ran different compounds from Levanto. Maybe this being a slightly harder compound, not laying that rubber down, has caught a couple drivers by surprise.
Well, I think you got to first and foremost go to the fact that Ryan Norberg has been on OTK machinery for the last number of years. He's obviously won a bunch of championships, had a fantastic run with the Rawlson Performance Group. Earlier this year, it was announced that he was moving to the GFC. So literally in completely different machinery as well, right? It's not going to affect changes like maybe the OTK would. He's learning the machinery as well, especially here on a street circuit. Yeah, he's been back at Orlando Karting Center where he has his academy. He's been doing some driving, figuring out what the kart wants, what works well for Ryan Norberg with the GFC that have not bonded together before. But this is that that blank canvas when you come in. What have I got to do? So for a guy like Ryan, we're going to talk about this here in race number 1. Where does he end up when we get to Sunday? One of the legends of our sport, the most national championships of any driver over the last decade and a half. The bottom line is how much work are they able to do to the GFC to put it back potentially in the winner's circle? Because we know up front already Jake Drew is there. He's got pace in the GFC. Why isn't it working right now for Ryan Norberg?
So again, no doubt that Gary Colton's trying to build a Death Star here with GFC, and unfortunately Darth Norberg still trying to get his way into the picture. But again, OTK's relatively similar chassis to chassis, and when you're comfortable driving something like that your entire, for a good chunk of your career, jumping over to something else can be a little bit different mentally.
Two things, Jackson. First and foremost, last lap for Jake Drew, 41.064, 41.069 for Norberg. 0.005 of a second. It's working for Norberg. He just needs track position. And I'll say the second thing. I didn't have on my bingo card today that we were making Star Wars references. I just want to make sure.
I did.
I did not know this.
DJ, we could do this for like 2 hours.
So I'm going to have to spend a half an hour getting myself where I need to be. All right, this afternoon.
I do think we do need to mention also just how tight on time this field has been. And that's been a big frustration for Massimino this morning, saying, I've got the pace in this thing. I just don't have the real estate to really uncork it.
Well, and again, it's a 40-second racetrack, not a 60-second racetrack.
Yeah.
At Newcastle, where they have 17 corners, you got more opportunities to overtake. This is kind of more, again, you do what you can within the confines of the parking lot here. So we've always had shorter racetracks anytime we've raced here at the Rio. So less time to get things done, but you normally have more laps Final lap, though, for Jake Drew, and guys, a 1.6 second lead over Caden McQueen.
And I go back a little bit to what you said earlier, Jackson, that this was by lottery the same motor that he had from yesterday. A little bit interesting there. I wonder what he's going to look like tomorrow, but this is a full-throated throwing of the gauntlet here for Jake Drew.
And again, like you said, what's the engine going to be like tomorrow? There is obviously going to be an operating window when they build engines. This is going to be good in the dyno. This is the window. He's had the same engine back to back. He'll be happy with that. If he shows it tomorrow with another engine, has had the same speed, he'll be very, very pleased. A 40.974, about 0.06 of a second off his fast lap. He gets in the final circuit. He wins. Jake Drew does by 1.785 second. Caden McQueen coming home in second. Gianluca Savaglia able to come back after fighting. Ends up third. Dean Peterson fourth. Frankie Mossman fifth. Big movers. Jesus Vasquez Jr. up 10. Diego Ramos up 9 from 16th to the 9th spot. And again, we talk about the fact that Paulie Massimino lost ground. He was able to get back to 13th. Ryan Norberg plus 15 as he goes from 30th to 15th. Work to be done for Ryan Norberg.
Work to be done for Norberg, but if anybody can do it, it is Ryan Norberg,
100%.
rest assured. Well, all right, race fans. We want to thank you so much for joining us through the first morning of ROK Vegas. This has been Rob Howden, Jackson Lambros, and DJ Clark joining with you. We're going to take a quick break away, fill our bellies a little bit, and have some lunch. We'll be back with you at about 2:10 is when we'll be coming back. So look forward to talking to you then. But until then, we will see you around.